My stupid hair doesn't want to stay down. This was fine when I had like the headphones on.
Yeah. Can pat it down. See? Hats. Telling you.
This is when I had the headphones on. I have a hat over there if you want to grab it.
I mean, that's up to you. You can wear a hat if you want to wear a hat. I'm going to make you wear a hat.
Yeah, make me wear the hat.
Oh, I'm attached to this.
So,
I'm attached to this, though. I don't know if I can roll back.
No, it's over there on the PlayStation.
On the PlayStation?
Yeah.
Oh, the hat?
Yeah.
Wow. Truly a look.
Yep. Well, it's fitting because it's Oscar time.
Sure. Yes. Everybody's always wearing that hat to the Oscars.
Yep. This is the Oscar hat.
Yeah. Just this year, Benedict Cumberbatch.
This is my prediction hat.
Yeah. Benedict Cumberbatch is going to roll on the red carpet wearing that tomorrow night. Just wait.
All right. You ready to start here?
You got the intro. Don't ask me if I'm ready.
I'm asking you if you're ready because I'm going to throw it to you here. Ready?
Ah!
All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to it's a regular episode. I would say special episode there for a second.
Every episode is special in its own way.
I was going to say it's a special episode because we will be giving you the breakdown of who will win the Oscar predictions.
Yeah, only here can you listen to somebody say, I know who's going to win, and it actually be correct.
Yes.
Asterisk.
We combine 23 out of 24 winners every year.
Yeah, we can almost guarantee that we will be right.
Yes. Mutable Podcast is always right.
That's the almost guarantee.
Yes, that's the almost guarantee. But we will get to those predictions later. If you stick around to the end of the show, we will help you win your Oscar party brackets. But before we get to that, we are the Media Boat Podcast.
Yeah.
Welcome. We talk about movies, TV, music, video games, not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Ooh, a little struggle there. Today is March the 26th, 2022. This is episode 301.
24?
324 for you. A little mixed up numbers there. Thanks for joining us. Let's get rolling right into
This is episode 324 on 326.
Hey! What do you know? All right.
Yep.
Go for it. Let's start the podcast then.
So like I said, before we get all the way to our Oscar predictions, we got to start at the top with music. And we start the music with the Billboard, and we start the Billboard with the Hot 100 and staying hot. Continuing to be your number one song, Heat Waves by Glass Animals.
Yeah.
As it rolls into spring here in March. At number 2, Stay by the Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber.
Moving up.
Coming in at 3, Super Gremlin by Kodak Black. At number 4, ABCDEFU by Gale.
Hey.
And dropping down to number 5, but not out of the top 5 yet.
Yeah.
We Don't Talk About Bruno.
So
by Encanto.
Perhaps Bruno's magic is wearing off a tad bit as we get into the spring season here. Yeah, so we'll see how long it lasts in the top 5.
Or probably all the parents who have to listen to it are done listening to it.
Like, let's move on. Please play any other song. Let's go back to Let It Go, for God's sake, please.
You know what it is?
What is it?
It's because Turning Red came out on Disney Plus. So they're no longer watching Encanto.
Having seen Turning Red, though, I can't imagine the same kids are getting as much out of Turning Red as they are out of Encanto. You can see a lot of stuff in Turning Red going straight over their head. Just whoosh.
You're right. They're all tuning into Panda.
Sure.
Panda.
What it is. Yes. Designer's
Panda.
Fascinated by this movie, I'm sure. Anyway, what about our 200, our albums chart?
Yes. As for your albums chart, your Billboard 200.
Yes.
Coming in at number 1, 7220 by Lil Durk.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that number signifies.
7220?
It's too long to be a area code. It's too short to be a zip code.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what that is.
And there's no like slashes or dashes.
Is that his ATM PIN number?
Okay, let's see.
I just realized I'm such a 10-key dork. I literally did the 10. Literally did it. Anyway.
Well, see, I thought it was like pin, like the alphabet code for it.
No.
But 0 isn't anything.
0 doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, 0 doesn't mean anything.
So it's nothing. I don't know. Don't know what to tell you.
All right. At number 2, What It Means to Be King by King Von.
And he would know.
At 3, Encanto by various artists.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 4, Dangerous, the double album by Morgan Wallen. And rounding out your top 5, Who Cares?
No, I need you to tell me what the number 5 is.
Oh, Who Cares?
Like, come on. This is a podcast for professionals. Tell me with the name of the record that is at number 5 this week.
The name of the record is Who Cares?
I do. Third base. All right. And
all right. You hit it. Okay. Yeah. It is Who Cares by Rex Orange County.
I couldn't help myself.
Anyways, congratulations, Rex Orange County, on making the top 5.
Yeah, I guess.
But then again, who cares?
There it is.
All right.
What if I didn't like any of those? What if I need new releases?
If you didn't like any of those albums, we have new releases.
All right.
Including Pep.
Yes.
By Lights.
Get ready for a lot of caps this week.
Immutable by Meshuggah.
Mm-hmm.
The Unraveling of Pup the Band. All caps.
Yeah.
By Pup.
All caps.
All caps.
I will be listening to this. I like Pup.
And Unlimited Love by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah,
yes, those Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Back. The singles that I've heard sound like Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't know what to tell you. It sounds like that. You know exactly what you're getting into with this, is what I'd say.
I don't know if we talked about it last week, but Foo Fighters also had a new album.
Yeah, and sadly,
debut. Well,
we will talk about the Foo Fighters.
We'll talk about Foo Fighters.
Not great reasons. But.
Yes, but Dream Widow is their latest release that just came out yesterday. I don't think we talked about it last week.
No, I don't think we did. I didn't see it on the release calendar.
Yep, I didn't see the release calendar later.
Is it related to that movie that they put out last month?
The 666?
Yeah.
Studio 666?
Off of that?
It might be.
I don't know. Anyway, but like I said, they are in the news this week. We will talk about that a little later.
Yes, a little later. But first, we'll get into some music news, and it's award show time.
So I don't usually, it depends on the year when I actually put this into our news, and it just so happens it was a really slow week, so I put it anyways.
So the ninth annual iHeartRadio Music Awards.
Almost been 10 of these things.
Next year's going to be the X version.
Can you believe it? Wild.
10 years of streaming.
More than that.
Oh, yeah, but the iHeart Music Awards. So they took place on March 22nd at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles. Yep. The broadcast was live to Fox, where the show was hosted by none other than LL Cool J.
Yeah.
With performances by Megan Thee Stallion, Jason Aldean, the Legend, John, Charlie Puth, Billy Porter, and Eurovision winner Måneskin.
Måneskin, I believe. Måneskin. That's how I've heard it pronounced. Måneskin.
Yep. So during the award show, Jennifer Lopez was recognized with the 2022 iHeartRadio Icon Award.
Yeah, sure.
And also took to the stage, which included a message about equality.
Okay.
For a dazzling performance of her new single, On My Way, along with the classic Get Right.
Of course.
Others who appeared in person to accept trophies included Olivia Rodrigo, Silk Sonic, Lil Nas X, and the Kid Laroi.
Mm-hmm.
Elsewhere, rockers Foo Fighters took home multiple awards, while Måneskin were named Best New Alternative Artists.
For some reason.
Because they came out of Eurovision.
I guess so.
New Jersey Jacks.
Who's that for?
Oh, they know who it's for. who attended the show with her mom, also was recognized as TikTok Songwriter of the Year.
I don't know who this is.
It's okay. You know who Dua Lipa is?
I'm over the age of 30, though. So that may be why.
Well, at least Dua Lipa, who was playing across town at the Forum for a two-night stand.
You might know something about that.
Yeah. One for Song of the Year for Levitating,
Hey.
and Dance Album of the Year for Future Nostalgia.
I guess this is probably the moment where you should probably talk about Dua Lipa.
Yeah, I went and saw Dua Lipa in concert.
How was Dua Lipa in concert?
My 2020 Album of the Year for Future Nostalgia.
Yeah.
Tour had to be delayed because COVID.
Right.
So now it's out, it's back, and...
Was it worth the wait?
Oh, so there's a reason. I think I've set a new bar of what constitutes me choosing my
concerts.
No, my album of the year.
Okay.
And that is, would I see them in concert?
Oh yeah,
with this album?
Yeah, that's a good rule.
Because for the past 3 years, I saw Midland in concert, who was my number one. I saw, I just saw Dua Lipa, who was my number one for Future Nostalgia.
Yeah.
And later this year, I have Eric Church tickets.
So there you go.
Who was my number one last year.
Correct.
So I think that's my new bar.
I guess so.
Would I see it in concert?
Well, it might be.
And you know what? That concert did not disappoint.
Oh, I'm sure.
That was a great concert. I mean, aside from loving the songs from the album and just singing every word with it, but the concert itself was great. It was bombastic. It was that almost arena filling. I mean, it was sold out 2 nights at the Forum, so it did fill the arena. But I'm talking about like the open air, like football stadiums, kind of loud music. It was a dance party. Through and through.
And of course, I mean, you listen to that record and it practically demands that you go up and dance to it.
Yeah. I mean, even when if you listen back to 2020, when we first talked about it, it was a shame that the record came out because all you wanted to do was go to the club and dance to it.
Right. Yeah.
And you literally couldn't do that.
Great. Well, I'm glad it was a good time.
Oh, it was a fun time.
Cool. So
in fact, I should have worn this hat there. Lots of sparkles everywhere.
Yeah, you bet.
So I mean, it makes me kind of excited and yet nervous as well as to what Dua Lipa's next album will be. Yeah. Because as we've seen, it's hard to top a chart-topping album.
Yeah.
Case in point, Casey Musgraves.
Yes, indeed. Different vibe to that one, though.
Yes.
Less dancey.
Yes. But we'll talk about Casey Musgraves' counterpart, Maren Morris, a little bit later.
Yeah, a little bit.
But before we get to that, any other bits about the iHeartRadio Music Awards?
No, that's not really. That's basically what you need to know. You can kind of piece together basically by the names that I mentioned what they probably won.
Yes.
Like pop album for Olivia Rodrigo, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep, rap
album. You know, you get the idea.
For R&B.
And so I didn't need to necessarily spell that out for you. Also, they don't really matter. Like, yes, we realize we're going to the Grammys in another week.
Yep.
But this will not be a bellwether of how those will go. They're very different shows.
Real quick, on that note, the Grammys will not be having Kanye perform.
Yeah, I didn't include that because it's not a huge deal. But
Grammys are next week, so that's when typically we'll talk about all the news surrounding it.
But yeah, he was banned from performing at the Grammys because of his recent banning from Instagram. So yeah, just being embarrassing on social media does have consequences.
The consequences of my actions have consequences?
He still, however, could win a Grammy that night.
Yes.
So we will see if that happens.
I think that's for Donda, right?
Correct, for rap album. So we'll see.
Yep.
Hope it doesn't happen.
Best Album of the Year nominee, Kanye West for Donda, will not be performing.
No.
At the Grammys.
And thank God, honestly. Anyways, let's move on.
Anyways, on a brighter note, last week we talked about Arcade Fire returning.
Yes.
With a new album.
Well, they also have some good news.
Yes. As the band Arcade Fire raised more than $100,000 for PLUS1's Ukraine Relief Fund through 5 surprise club shows.
Yeah.
1, which was in New Orleans, and 4, which were scattered about New York, which all happened in the course of a week.
Yeah.
Wristbands for the gigs at New Orleans Toulouse Theater, which was on March 14th, and New York's Bowery Ballroom, which was on the 18th through the 21st, were distributed at random locations throughout both cities, and fans were invited to pay whatever they could afford for entry. They represented Arcade Fire's first full live shows since February of 2020 and ahead of the May 6th release of the new album,
Yeah, I mean, this isn't super surprising if you followed Arcade Fire through their career. They've always been very philanthropic. They've always done what they can to help causes. They've always been very aware of world events and who needs help. So it was cool to see them do something like this for Ukraine. It's a really good move right before an album release. And it just shows that they're good people overall. The other little bit that I should mention that's not in the story, but should be mentioned if you are an Arcade Fire fan, one of the members has left the band, Will Butler, who is brother of Win Butler, the singer, who has been a...
is there a Won't Butler?
God damn it. Anyways, no, there's a place and show. Anyways, no. So Will Butler, who has had a long career with the band as well as a solo career in his own right, has decided to pursue other opportunities and has left the band. So he will not be touring with them from here on out. It is why that in this tour and recent performances, he has been replaced by somebody else. That's because he's no longer with them. But yeah, not really. We'll continue touring, of course, and the record was still recorded with him, I believe. But yes, just a little FYI for Arcade Fire fans. But yeah, it's cool to see. That's good money for a good cause, and it's cool to see them get back up and doing live shows in anticipation of the record.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get their name back out there. Remembering that Arcade Fire is a band.
Yes, they still exist.
All right. Speaking of bands and still existing, we have a hot country artist on the rise.
Yeah.
This can be considered Stagecoach preview.
I guess so. Yeah.
She'll be at Stagecoach. She'll be performing these songs,
and
I'll be in attendance.
And yeah, I think that it will sound good because I've got good news about Maren Morris's new record, Humble Quest. I think it's good.
I'm glad you think it's good.
Uh-oh. Didn't like how that was phrased. So last week we talked about Hailey Whitters, whose new record was, to me, a tad bit disappointing. It was a more traditional sounding country record with more traditional sounding lyrics, for better or for worse. Meanwhile, Maren Morris seems to be on a little bit on a different wavelength than Hailey Whitters, coming off of crossover success with songs with her big smash crossover, The Bones, from last year, 2 years ago. And then even before that with The Middle, with the Chainsmokers, right?
Middle.
And so, so she's had some really big pop successes. So what does she do? She rejects that and puts out a record that actually sounds like her golden hour.
Yeah, it's weird because, as you mentioned, she was going into that pop direction, and then Casey Musgraves, as I mentioned before, did go into that pop direction right before her, sort of.
But a muted,
more so than Golden Hour.
Yeah, a muted kind of like a version of kind of what she experimented with on Golden Hour, but like refined into more of the vibe is what I would say about that record, which I'm blanking on the name of. This is sad.
Of what? Of Maren Morris?
No, the Casey Musgraves record that came out last year.
Oh, the Heartbreak record.
Yeah, what is it called?
The Heartbreak record.
No,
the Star-Crossed.
Star-Crossed, thank you. And so this is basically Maren trying, or not trying. I think she's still doing something that's uniquely her. Mm-hmm. It definitely sounds like Maren Morris. The writing is very much similar to the kind of writing she's good at, and it does fit pretty well in her discography. But the production gets an upgrade here, and it sounds like some of the best production work on Golden Hour. There's a lot of really interesting instrumentation here, experiments with synths, experiments with different kind of vibes. And Greg, I think to credit for this is producer Greg Kurstin, who you might recognize from, he's worked a lot with Beck. He worked with Adele a few times. He's got a history of doing very vibey West Coast kind of sounding kind of records. And his work is very clear in this one. And so ultimately it sounds like a country album through the lens of a nice, quiet drive, like an evening drive by the beach, is how I would put it.
Okay.
And I love the vibe of this thing. It sounds pristine. It sounds great. Maren Morris has never sounded better, in my opinion. I think the lyrics are really good. Not once did I think anything was cheesy or too much like it was in Hailey Whitters.
I'm sorry. Did you listen to Tall Guys?
I thought it was cute.
That was the cheesiest country thing ever.
But it's supposed to be. It's this cute little like ode to her boyfriend who is taller than her.
Sorry, the entire time I was listening to that song, I was like, she wrote this for Ty. She wrote this for Ty. She wrote this
he's gonna love it.
Oh yeah,
but
no, I was just saying, like most of the songs on this album can be associated to someone in your life. I think that's a good
and that's the thing. This is what I wanted that Hayley Whitters record to be almost every step of the way, because unlike what she did, this is personal. It is an extremely personal record. It's talking about Maren Morris's own experience in the industry and her life and her relationships. That's what makes good music, good emotional music, is tell me a story from your perspective. Don't tell me some generic stuff about, oh yeah, we love to drink beer at home.
Maren Morris lists things.
This is important. This stuff sounds like it's from the heart. This is from her soul. I think that it starts on such a high note with Circles Around This Town, which I think is my personal favorite Maren Morris song right now. I think it does such a good job. It reminds me of the best Casey Musgraves, and it's such a good song about what it means to have sudden success, but then also feel like you're still not where you want to be in your career. It's this good balance, and the rest of the record follows that by just continuing those vibes. I really had a good time with this thing.
It is a very country album.
Yeah. But through a modern lens, which is the thing that I think when I think about country records that I like now in this era, those are the ones that I like the most. Your Golden Hours is the way to use traditional country, the vocabulary of country music, but through a lens of a more modern production and interesting, different, popish take on it. It feels less stagnant.
Okay, like I said, she's gonna play this at Stagecoach. This is very much a touring album. As I mentioned, you're gonna find something on this album that you're gonna like, that you're gonna fall in love with, that you're going to point to and say, "Hey, this song reminds me of that person."
Yeah. And
not specifically that person.
And so you might,
that person.
That's a good point, because you might listen to this and be like, "This isn't super arena friendly. This doesn't seem super stagecoachy." But I feel like you're right. You're onto something there, because when songs really touch you and are very personal and are very emotional like this, it'll work no matter what. It'll cut through that arena noise, and it'll still be a moment that you have at Stagecoach with your friends.
Yep.
I have a take.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's good, but I think Maren Morris runs into the fact that she had probably her actual best song was her first song.
Of Circles Around This Town?
No. She's talking about first single.
Oh, her first single.
My Church?
My Church.
Yeah.
It's sort of how Casey Musgraves set the bar so high with Golden Hour.
Right.
No matter what she released after, it's probably not going to quite live up to the hype. That doesn't mean it's a bad album. Star-Crossed is good. Humble Quest, I need to listen to it again. I thought it was very good. I got Golden Hour vibes kind of too, which you wouldn't think would translate to Stagecoach either, but that was one of the best sets we've ever seen at Stagecoach. I was blown away.
Yeah.
I think she was before Keith Urban that day, and she brought the house down more than he did.
Oh yeah.
So, although
she gave everyone butterflies.
Mike did his interpretive dance. It's quite a sight. I think that's who was after. Anyway, I'm gonna have to give it another shot.
We listened to it once through. So we'll give it another shot.
Yeah,
we'll give more listens.
And truly, I think it's a little more country than her recent stuff.
I agree. Like I said, she took that crossover success and kind of almost took a step back a little bit.
What I thought was interesting.
From her
Girl is a much poppier record.
Yes,
and it's very interesting to see her be a little course correcty a little bit. To be
even though it has the bones on it.
Versus Casey Musgraves, who didn't
leaned all the way in.
It's a full lead.
Star-Crossed isn't really country.
No, which is very interesting.
Because
you see country radio is only playing Justified. It's the only song off the record that they're playing.
Exactly.
And honestly, I never really hear it because I don't think it's that country. But I mean, now the lines are so blurred.
It doesn't,
Eric Church is like a rock star.
Oh yeah.
Hey, get Robin Thicke out here with those blurred lines.
And I'm not complaining about Eric Churches.
Oh sure, yeah, it's not a bad thing, but you're right.
Yes.
He's really leaned into that, and it's really helped him.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to give it another shot, but I do think it's interesting that it's sort of a step back into country compared to Girl.
Yeah.
Because Girl is not very country. I was like, okay,
it kind of lost me, to be honest. When I listened to that, I think we talked about it.
We did talk about it.
Where I was like, I didn't quite vibe with it. I was like, because I was wanting something a little bit more Casey from her in that era, and it wasn't. And that was pre-Golden Hour, though, which is important to differentiate between the two eras.
But... Yeah, add Casey Musgraves to that list of number ones that I went to go see in concert.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So
The Bones is really good from that album.
It's still great, yeah.
But yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where she plays to like.
It'll be interesting to see where the radio takes from here too, because they're playing stars around this town. But is there anything else that they're going to pick up from it?
It's going to be trickier, I think.
Tall Boys,
because radio didn't play Golden Hour,
yeah,
and so it'll be really interesting to see where her career goes from here, because she has made a choice, capital C, with this, and I think it's great creatively, and I think it's great like art-wise. But you're right. Will her career change because of this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think of Casey's trajectory from Golden Hour too. It didn't matter if it played on the radio.
It became critical darling.
Yes.
Expanded her audience way bigger than country. And I think it could happen here, even though she's already had crossover success before. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
That's my take.
We'll see.
Good take.
Good take.
Thank you. Love a good, fresh opinion here instead of just us.
Yes. A delicious female opinion on female artists.
Delicious. Anyway, so that's Maren Morris's Humble Quest. Check that out. It's on streaming now.
Media Boat approved?
Media Boat approved. Yeah, I think that's a big thumbs up.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's get into some video games. And we start with new releases. Starting with Crusader Kings 3.
Yes.
For the PS5 and Xbox Series X.
Yeah, if you missed this on the PC, this is the console release only for next gen. So
Crystar for the Switch. Death Stranding Director's Cut.
Yeah.
For the PC.
If you missed this on the PS5 and would rather play this on the PC, there you go.
Or if you want to wait for it to be modded to death, here it comes.
Yes, if you just want to play as Conan O'Brien. It's the only reason I would play. Anyway.
I was going to try to make a death stand-up joke there, but there's also Moss Book 2.
Yes.
For the PS4.
That is PS4 exclusive, because that is PS4 VR, is a sequel to Moss, which was also a VR release.
Right. Moss was the one about the mouse.
Yes.
Starship Troopers Terrain Command for the PC.
Terran Command.
Terran Command.
Yeah.
No I there.
Weird to see a strategy game based on Starship Troopers in, what year is this? 2022.
You know, someone who really loves Starship Troopers finally made it to the top.
Finally did it.
And said, I'm going to make this game that I always wanted to play.
Always wanted XCOM with Starship Troopers. Let's make it.
Yep.
Anyway.
And lastly, Weird West.
Yeah.
For the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. But, as we mentioned last week, the games you're probably going to play this week and next week is either Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Right, yes.
Or Tina's Wonderlands.
Or let's be real, Elden Ring, because that's all everybody is ever playing now. So
I mean, yeah, if you want to stop dying in Elden Ring, there's other games that you can play to actually accomplish a story.
Other games do exist.
Yes.
PSA from the Media Pro podcast. Anyway, we'll get there. I have a little bit of Elden Ring to talk about later. But...
So you did try
it. Try. There's a lot of weight is being put on that word.
Yes.
Okay,
before we get there,
news.
Let's get into some video game news, and we start with Gran Turismo 7.
This is a bit of a follow-up story, because last week we talked about how nobody could play it for a full day.
Right, because the servers went down.
Well, then, when it came back, maybe people still didn't want to play.
Yeah, because developer Polyphony Digital.
Polyphony.
A bunch of phonies they are, because they confirmed that it will rebalance the in-game currency system in response to ongoing criticism by the players.
Mm-hmm.
So, last week, the PlayStation Racer has had Sony's lowest ever user score on Metacritic.
Yeah.
Which, at the time of the writing, was at 1.5.
Yeah, I got a review bombed.
Yep. which was likely due to a number of factors, including the amount of grinding needed to buy the game's cars and subsequent patch that made the grinding even longer. Combine that with the lengthy downtime period of ended up rendering the game virtually unplayable for more than a day. In a new update published on Friday, the Gran Turismo creator Kazunori Yamuchi, I think that's how you say it,
more or less,
he apologized for the issues and promised to alleviate them with the upcoming update.
Mm-hmm.
In the long term, Yamachi said the dev team would add the much requested ability to sell cars for in-game credits.
Yeah. So basically what happened
How is
here...
that not a thing? That's always been a thing.
So yeah, basically what happened here is that when it was launched, there was a certain price for cars. It seemed reasonable. And that's why initial reviews didn't seem to have much problem with that grind. But they raised it like a week after release, right before the downtime happened. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden the fans were like, wait, what? Why do I have to have 1 million coins or whatever the currency is to buy a car now? What happened? It was like 100,000 yesterday or something. It was some sort of ridiculous place.
Yeah.
And so even after the downtime, people were still like, wait a minute, why do I have to work so hard? Why did they change the economy so drastically out of nowhere? Is this based on some sort of metric that they're not surfacing? Like,
inflation, digital inflation.
Yeah, like inflation's real, but it doesn't affect video games. Like you don't have to do this.
The crime that's going on in GTA Online is affecting that of Gran Turismo 7.
I guess so. I don't know. So yeah, it didn't make much sense, and they're trying to walk it back here by trying to say that they're going to rebalance it with a patch.
Nah.
I don't know, man. I feel like there was a moment there when the reviews hit where it seemed like this game was going to be well-liked. There was a moment there where like, oh, cool, Gran Turismo is back. It matters again. Forza was kind of eating its lunch for the last decade. Now it's going to be like it's got its like quality back up and people are talking about it again. And
guess who got stuck with their wheels spinning?
These two things back to back have really given them a PR nightmare over there. It's really taken like the rug right from under them. Now it seems like it's just bad news about Gran Turismo 7 everywhere you look. And I just feel a little like sad about it. I feel like they almost had that cultural cachet again and they squandered it.
Well, because Gran Turismo 7 has always been here's what the new PlayStation can do. Here's all the tech demo of lighting and physics and just graphics engineering overall.
Yeah.
And yet, if you can't play the game and appreciate it.
Yeah. If it doesn't work towards the strengths of the franchise, which is, playing new cars, getting new cars, looking at them into the replay mode and seeing all those cool lighting effects. And
photo mode
looks so realistic.
Courtesy of Gran Turismo 7.
It's the thing.
5, I think.
Collection of cars is the reason why this game exists. It's a love letter to cars. It's made by people who love cars. If you're prohibiting people from getting new cars, you're taking the game part away from them. The racing is only part of it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So I'm hoping they clean up their act. I'm hoping that there's a little bit of a redemption arc with Gran Turismo 7. But if not, they've really wasted the potential of this game. So yeah, we'll see. Speaking of wasting potential.
Speaking of wasted potential.
And PR nightmares.
Oh, are we going straight to PR nightmares here?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Users are currently reporting that Nintendo Wii Shop channel and the Nintendo DSi shop channel.
I don't remember that song.
Because everyone played that on mute. We're both down.
I didn't know the DSi. That might be my.
We're both reportedly down with no prior warning from Nintendo. Players who attempted to access the Wii Shop in order to re-download any previously purchased content will be greeted with a blank page followed by the error code 209601. Unable to connect to the server. Please wait a moment and try again. Visit support.nintendo.com for assistance. According to Nintendo's support site, this error generally indicates the inability to get a good connection due to wireless interference.
Not the case here, we should mention.
Yes, not the case here. While the Nintendo Wii Shop channel did cease to allow new purchases in 2019, the ability to re-download the previously purchased content was not affected. It was announced at the time that the ability to re-download this content would end at some undisclosed point in the future. However, no further announcement has been made.
Yeah.
Users attempting to access the Nintendo DSi shop are being met with error code 29502, which, according to Nintendo, is related to wireless interference.
Also,
quote unquote. With both systems seemingly resulting in similar error messages, this may be an unintentional error on Nintendo's part.
Skip this part and then move to the last sentence.
Nintendo eventually commented about the downtime, saying it was performing extended maintenance, which is always the case. If something goes down, we're just extended maintenance.
So this is extra weird, considering that you just had the big story over this past winter about them being like
shutting
down the Wii U's shop and the 3DS's shop, and then having to move that back once people complained about it.
Yep.
And that wasn't supposed to happen until March of 2023. Now you have Nintendo kind of like hedging on the thing that they promised to Wii owners and DSi owners, which is that even though you can't buy new stuff, which is still true, also prohibiting you from re-downloading things, which is what this outage specifically affects. So the promise that they made, which is you'd still be able to re-download your stuff, they're not even able to keep that up.
This is them walking it back.
So the fact that Nintendo is calling this extended maintenance does lend some hope that this was not a permanent decision and this is not the servers going offline forever. But it does make Nintendo look even worse than they did before, because it looks like even their promise to do this is not a guarantee. Even the thing that they said is the compromise is not always going to be the case. And the fact that is that they have the ability to turn it off at any point, and they could do it for unexplained reasons. This sounds like something that you could almost say 3 months later, everybody's going to forget about it and be like, hey, remember when they said that this would eventually get turned back on and they never turned it back on? I think this is a stealth way for them to do it without the lousy PR saying Nintendo turned the shop off.
Well, this is just like with Halo saying we'll provide constant updates for you, and then 2 months later have zero word on it.
Speaking of games that had so much goodwill and have squandered it, no one is talking about Halo Infinite anymore. They completely whiffed it on the post-game content for Halo Infinite, but we do not have time to get into that.
Don't worry. It's coming.
Someday.
Here's quotes.
Jeez, when can I play co-op? For God's sake. Anyways, yeah, just video games. They're a disaster. Constantly. Just 100% of the time, garbage fire.
It's okay. There is so here on the Media Boat Podcast, we tend not to deal in rumors.
Yes.
We try to stick to the facts that if there's a rumor floating around, unless it's like confirmed by various sources, like we did with the OLED for Nintendo Switch, then we'll report on it. There's a report out there about the PlayStation Plus.
Yes.
Possibly combining with PS Now.
You know how
but there is a news next week.
Yeah, you have that thing at the bottom of this document where you keep stuff. If I was doing that, I would have put it there, but instead it's in my memory bank in a similar fashion. Yes, we are not talking about the PlayStation Game Pass equivalent yet because it's not confirmed.
Yes.
But it's all over the place.
Supposedly, there will be an announcement next week, which means if there is an announcement, we will talk about it next week when something is concrete out of PlayStation.
But the other reason why I'm not talking about it is because it is not the thing it needs to be. All rumors seem to point to that thing just being a repository for old PlayStation games, not new PlayStation games. The reason why Game Pass is successful as it is because Microsoft does day one first-party releases. Sony's never going to do it. And you might want it. I want it. Everybody wants it. But they are doubling down so much on the $70 prestige purchase. They will never, ever give you that game for a subscription. They won't do it. So don't get too excited for this thing.
But what they will do is take away your PS Go and your PS3 online stores.
Yes.
But just like Nintendo did.
Much like Nintendo did. Well, so that's a garbage fire, but you know what's not a garbage fire?
A little pink ball?
Actual video games.
Actual video games?
Because turns out The industry might be terrible, but games are still good.
And advertising is hilarious. Did you happen to see the Kirby Target advertising?
That they cover up the red balls with Kirby? Yes, I have seen this. I've not seen this in person yet. I really am hoping that my local Target did it because that's just adorable to me. But yes, it's time to talk about Kirby.
Yes. So, Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Yes.
The game is released.
Yes.
Mine is on its way.
Yes.
It's in the mail. So, you have played this.
I played the first world of Kirby and the Forgotten Land because that's what I've had a chance to play so far. I wish I could play more of it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of crossover with this and the demo because 2 of the levels that are in the first world are in that demo. So a lot of it I've seen already, but the stuff that I hadn't seen, I'm still very excited about and still having a lot of fun with it. I've got good news. This is a good Kirby game. And I think that they are taking a lot of the criticism that Kirby games have received in the past and really taking it to heart. This is a Kirby game that actually scales to the difficulty you want to play it as. Not to say Kirby games haven't done that in the past. Yes, it's a series that often has people say that it's too easy. A lot of people the number one criticism about Kirby is that they're aged down. They're platformers that are designed for younger audience. I think that's not a bad thing. I think that's great, especially in an era where Elden Ring is something that you're whacking your head against for weeks on end and feeling like there's not a whole lot of progression there. This is a game you can go in and very easily progress. This is a game that's designed around giving you that serotonin hit with every level. Everything that you're doing is just happy, and there's so much celebration happening, and it feels like you're making progress and doing fun things throughout the game. So it is kind of the anti-Souls game in a way. But that's not to say that there's not challenge in Kirby games. Kirby games are also, while that's all true, known for rewarding players for exploration, that extra mile. There's always something in a Kirby game to be like, yeah, you can just finish the level, or you can go back and play the same level and get every single collectible, every single item, checklist the hell out of it.
That's itching my brain back.
Exactly. For those 100%ers. And so there's something there for those people as well. And the thing that Forgotten Lands does best is it does that better than any Kirby game has ever done. From the jump, you get an option for a more difficult difficulty level or an easier difficulty level, already helping more experienced Kirby players have a better time with it. Then on top of that, there's so many secrets in these levels. One of the advantages of doing 3D level design, which is a first for the series, is that there's so many new ways you can do secrets. There's so many new ways you can hide things in the world. So many new ways to use your copy abilities to activate puzzles in the world. It evokes, and I said this a little bit with the demo when we talked about the demo here, they figured out a way to evoke the classic feel of a 2D Kirby platformer in 3D without missing a single beat. Moment by moment, this feels like a Kirby game. And no point are you like, this doesn't feel right for Kirby. They've managed to translate Kirby in 3D in a way that I never thought they ever could. And judging by interviews that came out this week, it seems like this is a tough nut for them to crack. They've been trying for generations to figure out how to do a Kirby game in 3D. And I'm happy to say that they nailed it. It feels great to control. Kirby moves around like a dream. Co-op works great. I think the backup Waddle Dee with the spear is very intuitive for new players. Sure, you don't have the variety that you do with the copy abilities with Kirby, but you don't really need it. You have a trusty move that you know your move set for, and Waddle Dee can mostly do everything that Kirby can. So you're never in a situation where you feel like you're missing out really on the Kirby experience, except for the mouthful mode stuff, which only Kirby can do. But usually that's set piece designed. Mm-hmm. It's very purposeful. It's very like this section you have to be the car, or this section you have to be the vending machine. It's very much built that way. The levels are built around it, so you don't really feel like you're missing out on something larger. So in the first world already, I feel like it's got a very good variety of level design. It's got a very good variety of copy abilities, and the cool thing that where it lets you level up and evolve those abilities at the Waddle Dee town, make them stronger, is completely new for the series. I think really makes you again want to go back and replay levels that you played already. The idea of being able to go back with a stronger cut ability, which is really cool. Makes the cutter into those little, what are they called? Chakrams, little circle blade things. Chakrams. It makes it into a chakram where Kirby tosses 2 at a time. It's so cool. And then like the fire ability evolves into a volcano ability that's got more range to it and makes more fire effects happen. So it makes you want to go back and play stuff you already did, like play a boss you've already beaten and be like, yeah, look how much damage I'm doing to it now. It's fun. They created another gameplay element to make you want to replay things and get better at finding the secrets. And I mentioned this off podcast. It incentivized you to get those secrets, come back to those secrets by slowly revealing them to you. If you missed a secret and you finish a level, it will reveal one of the sentences giving you a hint, one of the hints for one of the secrets. So that way, the example I gave you was there was a poster that I passed in a level that I didn't think much of. That was like an X over Kirby, is like no Kirby's kind of poster. And I didn't realize that that was a secret. At the end of the level, the hint that was revealed to me said, remove wanted poster. And I'm like, oh, cool. Now I know when I replay that level, I can go back, remember where that poster was, get that poster and get that secret. And that helps you unlock more stuff through the rest of the game. Last thing I'll say about it is another cool new thing that they're doing. The series is known for mini games and challenges. The challenges in this one are kind of like time trials based on your ability to use the copy abilities. So they're like think of kind of like the special puzzle levels in a Ratchet and Clank game. Mm-hmm. Like the Ratchet ones the Clank ones
versions
in the most recent one.
Yeah, Rift Apart.
Where it takes you kind of to like a different kind of like puzzle world and you're just doing a puzzle for a bit. That could be really addictive to people who are really like time travel oriented or time trial oriented.
Time travel oriented.
Like every single one I did, I was like a second away from the time, like the end time. One. And I'm like, oh, I could go back and do this right away and try to get the best time possible. Yes. So yeah, every step of the way, this is taking what Kirby games do best and refining it to perfection. And I think people are going to really, really like this game.
Now, to be fair, you are a Kirby super fan.
I love Kirby, yeah.
And this game is good for you, and it's built for you. Mm-hmm. I'll be playing it as a Kirby newbie.
Wow, just like Metroid.
Just like Metroid.
Coming into Kirby for the first time.
Yes, and we'll see how I feel about it next week. But last thing I wanted to ask, you had mentioned the 3D portion of it.
Yes.
Is it like Mario 3D Land, where it's you're only going in one direction, but it's 3D based, or is it not as open world as you said?
So yeah, that's the thing, is when they first started showing off trailers for this game, a lot of people were immediately like, open world Kirby game? So no, it is very important to note this is not an open world game pretty much at all. You're correct to compare it to 3D Land. It is definitely a 3D world, or 3D Land or world. It's definitely that level design wise, and not Odyssey. It is not Mario Odyssey, and is not open world beyond that. Mm-hmm. It is very much 3D world kind of design ethos, where there's a pretty linear path, except for occasionally there'll be something over to the left to check out real quick before you go back to the main path to the right, for example. It's very much a linear design. There are exceptions to this, though. In the first world, there is a mall level that has multiple pathways, and there are maps throughout the level that are kind of giving you hints about, never explicitly telling you where to go, but giving you hints about where the correct path lies. Other Kirby games in 2D have done this as well. But it ultimately is up to you to what path you go down. So you could, if you wanted to, explore in a different path than the game actually wants you to do. So there are exceptions to that rule, but generally speaking, this is like 3D world in design idea.
Okay.
Like it's very much not an open world game. It is more directed, but that's for the benefit of it because it makes it feel like that classic 3D platformer or classic Kirby platformer that it's trying to evoke. So,
sure.
Yeah.
But that's not the only game you played.
Yeah, no, but I'm gonna play more of it. I'll have way more to talk about Kirby, I'm sure, as I go on.
Yeah, we'll have more to talk about it next week when I get my hands on it.
Yeah.
But there's a game that did come out.
Yeah.
That I assumed it come out a while ago.
No, it didn't. It was demoed for years and years. But Tunic is finally out. This is the Zelda-like where you play as a fox. And it is very much a Zelda-like. I'm not going to surprise anybody by saying that. But what I will surprise people by saying is, but by way of the Souls games?
It's a Souls version of
all right.
Zelda?
So let me explain what I mean by that. So as the Zelda games have evolved, they've become less esoteric and become more hand-holdy. When you start as modern Zelda game, except for Breath of the Wild, which is the exception here, the expectation is I'm going to have an hour or so of this game that's going to tell me how to play it, tell me how every mechanic works.
Here's the story.
Right. This is the setup. This is what these items do. This is basically how this game is going to go. Then it lets you go. Which is, to a lot of Zelda fans, disappointing because the thing that made that original NES Legend of Zelda so interesting at the time was it basically tossed you into a world and was like, you figure it out. You figure out, you go into that cave, grab that sword. We're not going to tell you where to go. You have to figure out where you can go with the amount of tools that you have right now.
And thus the Souls developers were born.
Exactly. That kind of design, like the way of thinking about game design kind of went away as we got more modern designers thinking more about helping a player out, more accessibility, making games easier for new players. Well, Tunic is basically trying to evoke that feeling of that original Legend of Zelda through the modern lens of something like a Souls game, where it is using the world to describe to you where you need to go, using the context of everything to direct you as opposed to literal direction. One thing that Tunic literally does is instead of giving you a tutorial, it doles out a tutorial over the course of the game in the form of game manual pages, essentially. Like pages you're physically collecting in the game world that look like a NES instruction book that you used to get in the game boxes. Or more recently, like N64 instruction books. So, except even taking that further by having a lot of the text being written in a language that you can't understand, an in-game language. So much of it is you trying to use clues that you're given, hints that you're given in the game, like including these manual pages, and trying to discern meaning from it. Trying to be like, this language over this picture of Tunic, of the character doing something, I don't know what that means, but I get the idea of what it means. Is this telling me how to dodge? Is this telling me what this button does? You have to interpret every step of the way what the game is trying to tell you. And it does this in the gameplay as well. One key thing here is that, like the example that I'll use in the really opening hour of this game, which is all I really played, is you don't get the sword. You don't get a sword from the start of the game. You get a stick that is kind of like a weaker sword. It cannot cut down trees. Trees in this game are kind of like abstract cube-looking things. And so from this jump, I wasn't even sure that they were trees at all. And I didn't know. All I knew is that I could not interact with them. They barred my pathway. So I could see on the other side of the trees that there's places I could go on the other side, but I couldn't cut down the trees and I couldn't pick them up. So I couldn't do anything with that. So my game brain says, eventually I will get an item that gives me something to do the trees. That's the language that this game is using, is it gives you enough context about what you need to do to progress, but never tells you you need to get this item to cut these trees.
Yeah, my game brain would have said, there's a path somewhere around here that'll get you there.
So that's funny that you say that, because that game knows that there are people like you that are thinking that way, but like a Souls game, they sometimes reward that, but sometimes they punish that. There are pathways you could find by accident that are completely secret pathways through bushes or through a wall or something that could lead to literally 10 spiders that you cannot defeat because you are not strong enough, which immediately sends you reeling and go back to where you were. There are so many moments like that in Tunic where you stumble upon something you can't do yet, just like Elden Ring, just like Bloodborne. It's the game telling you, yeah, you're right. This is a pathway. You are eventually going to find out what's here. But what you're really going to do is you're going to find out later. You're going to come back here and not even realize that you're coming back to a place you've already seen once you're strong enough, and you will not have a problem with this. It's just that right now you're seeing it too early. And I think that what this game is going to do, I think Tunic is going to be very divisive, because I think you're going to have people like me that were like, ooh, cool, a cute Zelda-like, and try to play it like a Zelda game, and immediately bounce off of it for the same reasons they bounce off Souls, which is everywhere I go, I'm having too much of a challenge here. I don't know where to go. I'm getting lost very easily. And there's nothing, I'm not really finding that like reward for the amount of work I'm putting into it. Or you're going to have the Souls people, the people who want that kind of challenge. They want their games to be esoteric in that way, and are going to fall in love with this thing. I think there is a certain game player who this is going to be an easy game of the year. It's so mysterious. Fez comes to mind.
Yeah.
Where it's a game world that wants you to figure out its language, literally. Just like Fez, there is a language that is to be interpreted here. And eventually, maybe, I don't even know if this is the case, can be translated. This is a game where a fan base is going to really work hard to figure out all the secrets, and it's going to be a conversation that evolves as people play it. And that's going to be great for some people, and like way too arcane for some people. Turns out I'm probably in the other camp. And
oh no, so, you've aged out.
Not necessarily aged out, because it just my gameplay style, as we talked about last week with the Elden Ring versus Horizon conversation. It's just when I sit down to play a game, sure, challenge is fine, but I also don't want to feel like the game is antagonistic towards me. And that's what this and Elden Ring feel like a little bit, where I'm like, I'd rather something like Kirby, I'd rather like something like Horizon, which is gentle enough that I can keep going, but has that option for challenge. That's my ideal situation. I don't want the challenge to be from the get-go. I don't want something that yells at me, hey, you need to figure me out, like a Rubik's Cube almost. Like, you need to spend so much time with me to master me, or else I'm not going to be fun. That's not my kind of experience. But like I said, for the people this works for, I think Tunic is incredibly exciting. I think it's incredibly interesting. It's got a mystery to it that I think is lacking in a lot of games. And I think a lot of people are going to fall in love with Tunic because of that. So yeah, that's my take. I mean, I'm probably not going to play more of it, but I think that for the people this clicks with, it's going to click really, really, really well.
And where can people play this?
So this is available on everything except for Switch right now. It is, however, on Game Pass on Xbox and PC. So if you have that, that's the place to play it. But you can also spend money to play it on your PlayStation.
Okay.
So that's Tunic.
And then you briefly brought it up.
Yeah.
Elden Ring, you got your hands on it.
Yeah, I should just mention I played like an hour of Elden Ring, and yeah, it's not for me. For the same reasons why I said about Tunic. Everywhere I went, like the thing that you preached and the thing that's up here and preached to everybody about this game is, well, the nice thing about Elden Ring is if it's too hard, you can go somewhere else. That works to an extent, until you realize literally everywhere you go is too much for you when you start the game. And that's the vibe I got. It's like literally everywhere I was going, there was an enemy that I couldn't consistently beat. Went into a cave, got ambushed by like 7 wolves all at once. Tried second time. Oh, I need to take out the wolves one by one. The only problem with that is the boss wolf was too tough for me. So I would take out all its minions, and then the boss wolf would kill me. Or I would wander over to the beach because maybe there's something over this beach. Oh, what's this egg thing? Maybe I'll beat up on this. Dragon shows up because apparently that's its child. Dragon immediately destroys me. Or like, oh, here's like a little cliff face with these like 3 little winged things. I thought some of these winged guys, these bat dudes over here, and I didn't have a problem with them. Well, that was because I could take them one-on-one. Now there's 3 of them all trying to attack me at once. I immediately die. And I'm like, is there anywhere that I can go in this game where I will not immediately die?
Oh, you can go to the castle, but then it's all guarded by the castle.
Yeah, that's the thing is I knew going in, the thing you're not supposed to go do immediately when you start is fight the guy on horseback that's right in front of you.
Right.
I knew that, so I avoided him. But everything else is just as hard. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Also, I hate how the game controls. There seems to be, even with game mode on and with everything and I don't usually have a problem with input lag when I play video games on this PS5. Never been a problem in Horizon. For whatever, I felt like I was playing in the water. in Elden Ring. Every time I roll, it felt like it was like 2 seconds too late.
I had the same problem.
And then to make matters worse, when you do something else and it will remember the button presses. So it'll roll because I maybe pressed circle and didn't cancel out of that in time. And so it'll make me roll when I didn't mean to, right into an attack. Mm-hmm. I understand that the game wants me to learn its nuances. And I understand that the game is like telling me, yes, figure this out, because this is the only way you're going to get through this game is by figuring this out. But for me, who's just finished an 8-hour workday and just wants to relax, it was the last thing I wanted to do was to really hunker down and really try to figure out the combat in Elden Ring. So I was just like, I don't need to do this.
Yep.
Again, just like Tunic, I get why people are falling in love with Elden Ring. I get the appeal. I get the mystery is appealing. I get the idea of trying to get better and feeling yourself getting better is great. I just do not have I just don't have the patience for that, or I don't feel like the other end of that is rewarding enough for me to want to stick to it. So it's not for me.
You don't want to spend 6 hours grinding a boss.
When instead...
And then realize, oh, wait, there's a second form.
Right. When instead I could play Kirby or Horizon, play 6 hours of that, and see so much variety.
Yes.
And see so many different things. And yeah, sure, I'm not being challenged as much. Sure, maybe the carrot on that stick, when I finally get that carrot, maybe it doesn't taste as good. But I'd rather get that. I'm just somebody who would rather get that continuous drip.
I'd rather know my next carrot's coming from than eventually it may be a carrot.
I'd rather get my cheap Skinner box, to keep getting that pang of joy in my brain than do fucking marathon and then get a medal at the end. That's just personally what I want from a video game. And everybody's, going to want different things. But that's just my personal opinion. So as long as there are games for me, just as much as there's games for those players, I think we're good.
Yep.
I just want to end this gatekeepy argument about one being ostensibly better than the other. And we've talked the subject to death this point, so I'll stop there. But yeah, that's ultimately how I feel after this week. I really like Kirby. I really am having still a lot of fun with Horizon. But Tunic and Elden Ring are just challenges that are the mountains that are too high for me.
It's okay. We don't have to talk about Elden Ring until it comes to end of the year stuff, which by that point, a better game of the year will have come out by then.
Unless it gets delayed.
Unless it gets delayed.
Sorry, mark that, because we'll see. All right, anyway.
Unless it gets delayed.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on and we go to sports.
Yes.
We point to the sports corner.
Yeah, it's television time. We start, as always, with the sports corner, which is behind us right here. And of course, bracket time. And I know your bracket got busted. I know that for a fact because the favorites have all lost.
Everyone's bracket got busted by now.
Yes, Arizona, Baylor, and Gonzaga all lost, which means that if you had any of those to take it all, you are severely disappointed.
Number one, Kansas is the last remaining number one seed.
Yeah.
That being said, Villanova and Duke are your last remaining number two seeds.
And you know what?
Everyone else is below that.
I'm okay with that. I mean, Duke were the team that beat our hometown heroes. So I'm okay to see them going all the way.
Well, Duke is also home of the last run of Coach Krzyzewski, Coach K.
So it's got the story. They've got the story.
They got the story.
Yeah.
I hate to say that they're the favorites now, but they're the favorites now. Even though they're number two seed, they're the favorites now, especially with the story of Coach K's final run. Speaking of that, Coach K, his last win was his 100th tournament win.
Nice.
Considering that it takes you 4 games to reach the finals, the 5th one being the final.
Yes.
And he's won 100 games.
Nice. So this, of course, leads to tomorrow is your Elite 8, and then the Final 4 will start on Saturday.
I think today and tomorrow is your Elite 8.
Got it.
With the Final 4 being the following week.
So there you go. So college basketball heating up. We will have a winner in 2 weeks.
Yep. We have Villanova versus Houston, Duke versus Arkansas, Kansas versus Miami,
your Kansas
of Florida.
Yes.
And North Carolina versus
St. Peter's.
Cinderella Story, St. Peter's,
Yes.
number 15 seed.
Right, yeah. So keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, baseball this week went crazy with rules.
Yeah, it did.
It's all over the place. Just decided, hey, you thought we were done with talking about rule changes? Well, no, we're not. Let's solidify some things going into the 2022 season. Most notably for Angels fans, one of the said new rules that have been initiated is now called the Ohtani rule. And it basically means that now in the universal designated hitter era, a player who starts as a pitcher will no longer have to be removed from the game and is now going to be allowed to hit in said game, no matter what. So that's good news for Ohtani, because in previous situations, the coach had to put him in the outfield in order to qualify as a hitter. Ohtani, not an outfield player. He's not a position player at all.
That's why you stick him in right field where no one hits.
Yeah, exactly. No one hits. So this is heartening for Angels fans because this means Ohtani will be in more games and can potentially do more damage in more games.
Hey, it means more home runs for Ohtani.
Absolutely. So it's very exciting news. Elsewhere in the league, it was confirmed that the ghost runner rule introduced in the pandemic seasons, which is overtime starting a man on second, will still happen this season. Not beyond this season. They said it's done 2023, but it will continue being the case this season.
I did see something being floated around. I think it was on a message board that they should institute the ghost runner once you get to inning 11th.
I liked that too, and
it gives you the one extra inning of like, come on, guys, can you finish this?
Play, yeah.
If you can't finish it, then clearly we need to help push the game along, because otherwise, that's how you're going to get 19 inning games, 22 inning games.
But ultimately, somebody at the league probably said, like, you know what, whatever, and just ended up just keeping the rule as is.
I think they said that we'll give it one more year. Maybe it'll change people's minds.
Maybe people like it now, kind of thing.
Because no one hates change. No one
likes change. That being said, the league really wants change because they're trying to get more eyes on baseball.
Yes, they're trying to make it more exciting.
Yeah.
They're trying to make it not being 4-hour games, which is why that Ghost Runner was initiated.
And it's also why a lot of their rule changes and what they're looking at right now all has to do with hitting, because pitching lately has been really good, and they're trying to prevent pitchers from being too good.
Yes.
And one of the things is the continued crackdown on sticky stuff being used by pitchers.
Yep. The memo went out saying that if a umpire goes to check a pitcher and the pitcher appears at any point to wipe something off, they will be immediately ejected.
Right. This is kind of interesting because I feel like a lot of pitchers do this just by habit. A lot of pitchers do this for moisture, for sweat, or just like not spit, but that's been banned. But you know what I mean? Like I feel like there's probably going to be a lot of situations where you have a visit because of something they thought that they saw or thought that they did, and it's going to have the pitcher, what was it last year, literally taking the pants off to like prove that they don't have anything. That was great. That was a great moment. I forget what team that was that had their pitcher like literally just like take their pants off to prove that they were not, they didn't have any substance.
I forget what it was.
Yeah, I forget that was, but it was great. So yeah, just get ready to see more of that kind of ridiculous stuff. But it's all in the favor of hitters being more fairly treated, and we'll see. I don't know if that's going to matter as much as the league seems to think it does. So we'll see.
We will see.
Anything else in sports this week?
Not this week, but Sports Entertainment has a big showing next weekend.
Oh, speaking of sports entertainment, do you want to talk about Triple H?
Oh,
he retired
officially.
Yeah, officially last night.
Yeah, officially. Oh, that was last night.
That was yesterday.
Oh, I didn't watch last night.
That was yesterday, apparently.
Oh no,
I obviously didn't watch either, but I saw it on Twitter. People talking about Triple H.
No, I didn't see that. Triple H announces in-ring retirement.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. So yes, I'm surprised you weren't up on this.
Well, no, because
our wrestling correspondent.
Well, I saw that Undertaker was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame during WrestleMania.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, Triple H officially retiring from in-ring. He'll still be the head of WWE.
Still be in the business.
But he is basically saying he will no longer be in-ring competing.
Which makes sense. I mean, he's pretty old.
Yeah.
It makes this was his time. So, but yeah, he'll still be creatively involved.
Yep.
So there you go. Anything else in sports that we need to mention before we move on to television news?
Next weekend is Tonight WrestleMania. So we'll talk about that next weekend.
In the meantime, let's roll right into television news. We start with a little bit of follow-up to our story about Amazon's purchase of MGM finally being finalized. And one of MGM's biggest franchises, James Bond. Amazon's Prime Video has greenlit its first TV show based on the acquired franchise with 007's Road to a Million, a Bond-style spin on a race around the world. The show will see real contestants, this is a reality show, competing in a global adventure to win £1 million, worth $1.3 million, cash prize. Filmed in many of the historic locations featured throughout the seminal Bond films, the cinematic format, quote-unquote, will be a test of intelligence and endurance. In addition to passing physical obstacles, the contestants, who will compete in two-person teams, must correctly answer questions hidden in different locations around the world in order to advance to the next challenge. Production on 007's Road to a Million will begin later this year, and casting is underway with applicants being invited to send in video submissions. So, Amazing Race meets Top Gear?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's Amazing Race meets Top Gear.
This is fascinating. This is a fascinating concept.
Yeah. I mean, we saw what this cinematic experience, the cinematic format looks like with Making the Cut, the Heidi Klum runway show.
Right,
where they did that around the world.
Right.
I think that's called Making the Cut.
Yeah, that sounds like it. So it makes sense. This is a good move and a good use of the franchise because if, as we previously said on this podcast, if the Broccoli estate doesn't want them to do a TV show, this is a neat way to like bypass that. It's like, yes, we're doing a TV show, but it's not Bond the character.
Yes, we're doing Bond related
we're not making new stories in the world. We are using the movies.
Yes. As our basis. We'll be showing clips of James Bond films throughout the show to see
remind
this
people,
is what remind people of the
what
old what they love.
Yeah.
Like this is like James Bond ziplining down a mountain or whatever as he's fighting.
Or remember when he drove his Aston Martin down this road? You're gonna do that.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like here, we've set up a test course here. You must complete this course in like 5 minutes. And
hey, remember when Halle Berry emerged from the beach right here? You're going to that beach.
Yes.
Halle Berry will not be there.
Yes, but you will be at that beach and you must find a coin under a rock somewhere. Anyway, something to that akin. And that is exciting.
It's cool. It's cool idea.
I mean, as we've noted on here, The Amazing Race has won Best Variety Reality Show year after year after year after year.
Yeah.
So take that concept, make it British, make it super British with 007,
right?
And put it on Amazon Prime where the Top Gear guys went. And you might have a hit on your hands here.
Makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
But this show isn't the only one making a little road trip.
Oh, no, it's not.
The Price is Right, television's longest running game show, is also hitting the road and going all around the U.S. on its Come On Down tour. Anyway, making 50 stops coast to coast to give fans the opportunity to play games and win prizes. The showcase is part of CBS's plans to celebrate the game's 50th season. Mike Benson, president and chief marketing officer at CBS, says the Come On Down tour supports the mission of bringing fans closer to the show while supporting local business partners in cities across the country. The tour will kick off this Friday in Los Angeles at the Santa Monica Pier, and will make stops in Denver, Dallas, New York, New Orleans, and many other cities. The show's host, Drew Carey, told the Associated Press that one reason The Price is Right has lasted for 50 years is that it's innovative with new prizes and games, but always keeps the same focus.
Yep. Focus being on the contestants, the focus being on Plinko.
Yes.
You can have your own Plinko.
Plinko. I want to see how New Orleans plays Plinko.
I think they call it Plinko there.
Anyway, they dip it in gumbo. That great news. I think any way to spice up The Price is Right sounds cool to me.
I mean, other. This is Sony based. No, this is CBS based. But Sony shows have done that where Jeopardy's gone on the road, where Wheel of Fortune
does
does the slot on the road. So it's the exact same thing. Just Price is Right on the road.
Same game, different set.
Yep. They package it up. I mean, you have to drive all those cars all the way around everywhere. All those washing machines, all those boats, just being towed everywhere.
Yeah, all the Plinko machines. Anyway, so look forward to that if you're sick from school this week. Anyways, let's move on.
Well, no. See, they're going around touring and on film right now, which means they'll be airing probably in the summer.
Yeah, you're probably
They're always shooting about 3 months in advance.
Yeah. Let's move on. Speaking of things that, they're not shot in advance, actually, so never mind. We have some thoughts about a few shows, some live, some documentary style, and some prestige.
So, as we talked about with Price is Right going across country, across tour, there's another show that came out that was about the country, about going around and basically bringing everyone who's on tour to one spot.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit when it got announced, but we finally here in the US have our own Eurovision, and it's called the American Song Contest.
Brought to you by NBC.
Yeah, currently
also brought to you by Death Records, owned by Snoop Dogg.
Yes, I saw that too. I was like, that's so stupid. I started laughing out loud, and Chrissy had already gone to bed. Chrissy had already gone to bed, and she was like, "What's so funny?" I'm like, "It's just funny."
Oh, anyway, I saw that too. I thought you'd be asleep by then, but
no, I was awake. But yeah, American Song Contest debuted last week. We watched the first episode, and it's more or less what I expected.
Yep.
In a similar fashion to Eurovision, it has brought people from all over the country, one person to represent each state. And as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, that includes some famous established artists as well as up-and-coming ones. So we got to see a handful of states start with their performances.
Mm-hmm.
And in an American Idol style, you were able to vote live on those performances as they happened. But in order to keep biases from being the thing that is the main driver, they've instituted a judge favorite that is determined every episode as well. They will have a panel of judges who seem to be music industry people determine by the end of the episode who they believe was the strongest act in the episode and will be a lock to move on to the next round.
Oh, the judgment is not based on what is performed; it is based off the dress rehearsals.
Right. So even that is a little skewed, but still, I like that because it keeps it from being just a popularity contest. Because otherwise, California would win,
or New York or Texas would, because the
population just has favorites there.
Yeah, it was a little thing at the end that said the judges' favorites based off the pre-rehearsals and not the actual performance that they give during the live taping.
Live show. So so more or less, it's what I expected. What I didn't expect though is that what they've done, they've mixed the performances well enough so you do get a pretty broad range of genre. That's one thing that they did really well, is that every song, every performance was pretty different from the previous one. You had a rap act followed by a country act followed by a pop act, etc. Like it was never like back to back anything.
And there was rap country, there was K-pop. The rap country one was kind of fun.
Oh boy, yeah, Christy liked it too. I did not.
I thought it was like perfectly
stupid.
Yeah, it's perfectly stupid. The way country artists tend to be.
So
it's talking about his boots, his neon boots.
I'm already okay, now I actually see what this is. It's like I get it, and I'll continue watching it just out of curiosity. But it's not. If there's something about it, there's a vibe to it. I mean, and Kelly Clarkson, Snoop Dogg as hosts, they do a good enough job. They're silly. They got that's the attitude.
I think I know what it is.
It's
that
weird.
It didn't get you to vote.
No, I didn't care enough.
Yeah, you didn't care enough to vote.
If I was to vote, I probably would have voted for the K-pop girl. But
I would have voted for the first act because that was the only one that actually got me interested.
Oh, really? We hated that band.
I thought it was a good opening.
We did not like it at all. It just sounded very generic to us.
Yeah, it sounded generic pop. What's wrong with that?
I'll tell you what's wrong with that is it's not unique enough. And I was just did nothing for me. So
it's called Yam something.
Yeah, Yam House.
Yam House.
Stupid. Anyway, so as it continues, we'll get to see more states and see what they have to offer. And I guess we'll keep an eye on it, but not as exciting as I was hoping it would be. Something's off about it. I don't know what it is.
The contestants aren't mingling with each other.
Maybe there's that. There's no, because
with
American Idol, you get a little bit of behind the scenes, like,
yeah.
oh, so-and-so talked to this person, and no, you see this kind of vibe.
Well, it's a lot of like...
They're kind of cordoned off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's here's this video package, here's them performing. Here's this video package, here's them performing. There's no intermingling with the host and the band.
There's no personality to it, is I think a lot of it. As much as Kelly Clarkson wants you to believe there is.
There's no Brian Dunkelman.
I know, that's what it's really missing here.
Yep.
No Bobby Bones.
Nope.
Anyway. So yeah, American Song Contest, it will continue going, and I guess we'll have more to say on it later.
Yep. But there's some stuff on streaming that you can watch.
Yeah, so why don't you talk about the thing you watched before we talk about the thing we both watched?
So prepare your teeth, prepare your crumpets.
I will.
Prepare your diamonds, as Bridgerton season 2 is upon us, and it is 'tis the season to be betrothed again.
Oh, good. I've been waiting to be betrothed.
Yes. So following Bridgerton season 1, unfortunately there is no Reggae Jean Paul.
No.
To be swooned over, but instead it is about the Viscount this season, as he is being pushed by his mother to find a Viscountess.
Oh.
And there's something that I realized while watching season 2 of Bridgerton. They play the pronoun game a lot. Not only that, they play the I'm talking about something, but not what you're thinking about a lot. Especially when you cut from we're trying to keep this a secret, and then you cut to one of the characters talking with their mother, like, oh, did you tell your sister yet? Like, about what? About this other thing that I'm just telling you and the audience for the first time to help expand the plot and add more drama. What? There's this other layer here? And they do that constantly within like the first 3 episodes. Yes, and then they need to add it for all the drama. Yes, you need to add it to all the blend, all the layers of complexity, but to do it every single time someone brings it up,
repetitive.
It is super repetitive.
And I think it goes back to that Netflix problem. The biggest problem with Netflix is that everything has to be so serialized.
Yes.
So it creates scripts that have to go overboard with connections and keeping balls rolling, because otherwise, like, the audience will lose interest.
But the thing it does good is that because it's from Shonda Rhimes or Shondaland, it keeps that constant drama drip coming of, oh, we're going to end on this big drama reveal, and like makes you want to watch the next episode.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, will they, won't they? Which they did 5 separate times with the same 2 characters. I'm like, God damn it, just do it already. I was like, oh, someone comes barging in. Someone calls off from the distance. Someone like a tree breaks or something. It's like, oh, like a bee comes out. It's like, oh, out of nowhere. And it's all these like very contrived, purposely written plot stuff to make sure they don't, even though you kind of know they will.
Yeah.
When obviously they won't or they shouldn't.
That was a sentence.
Yes, it was. And yet, that perfectly describes Bridgerton.
Wow. Yeah. So
especially the second season.
How's it faring for the second compared to the big first? Is there a little bit of drop off?
The sexual tension isn't not as much there because
you lost your hunky lead.
You're dealing with boring white boy now.
Right. Not as fun.
Not as fun. That being said, it takes that like contemporary juicy gossip that people love from Shonda Rhimes,
right,
and puts it in that that Victorian age setting.
It's still the thing you want it to be. It's just maybe not as good as it was the first time around, but that's to be expected with season 2, if anything.
Yeah. Plus, this season 2 is, I believe, sticking more to the books itself, which is supposed to be about the Viscount and the Bridgerton family.
Okay.
And trying to be the diamond of the season.
So yeah, if that sounds good to you, if you want more period pieces in your life. Well, here's the most periodist of all pieces.
Yes, but it also has the very contemporary, juicy drama that you love to see in contemporary dramas.
Yeah. You know what I love to see?
Some sour warheads.
No, good try at the segue. But I was going to say, I love to see behind-the-scenes concerts films.
I love to see alternative takes of songs that we already know.
Also true. And all of that is true of the other thing we watched this week, which is Olivia Rodrigo, Driving Home to You. A sour film, I believe is the full name of this thing. So this is exactly what you think it is. This is Olivia Rodrigo making an interpretation, I guess you could say, of her album Sour for Disney Plus in the same kind of vibe as what Taylor did with the Long Pond Sessions for Folklore and what Billie Eilish did with Everything is Blurry, or I forget what it is. So what it is this kind of like is both a behind-the-scenes look at the production of Sour. You get to see a lot of the songwriting sessions and a lot of the recording sessions for what ended up on that record. And you also get, as you said, new takes on the songs from Sour in a new kind of style. And that's done in a road trip format as Olivia and her team make their way from Salt Lake City, Utah to Los Angeles, California.
So unlike where you can watch these songs in a conventional music video format, where everything is kind of disjointed and like has different things about it, what Driving Home to You does is it takes Olivia Rodrigo and puts her in front of a band. The band travels with her. It's kind of like a road show.
It is, and it's cool. And the coolest part about it, as you said, is these are songs that you know pretty well at this point if you've listened to Sour as much as we have, but she'll interpret them in different ways. Like some of them have an acoustic take to them. Some of them are instrumented like differently than they were. One of them even has her kind of doing a one-person band approach.
Yeah, the one-man band approach.
She's looping instruments herself. And every step of the way, it's really interesting how she's reimagined these songs. I am shocked that this didn't also have a streaming release of these different takes or even an extended version of Sour. I'm surprised that this is just an isolated thing and didn't come with an accompanied album.
I believe Long Pond Sessions did the following week.
That's the thing. And so I'm wondering if they're doing something similar
the following week. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a really cool portrait of Olivia's experience through the making of and the aftermath of Sour. I think it's a really cool like encapsulation of her early fame going into her dominating run with this record. And yeah, it's such a cool thing. I love any opportunity to see behind the scenes stuff, and this gives you that. And it also just makes you realize how wise beyond her years Olivia Rodrigo is. Just some of the stuff that she talks about with her experience of relationships. Like I was sitting there, like, man, she's learned a lot in a year.
Oh, being the child star,
right? I just hope that it's not too much for her. Is that the worry, of course, by the end of this is that I just hope the second album doesn't burn her out.
It's the what next part.
Because man, she is in a really good spot right now. She seems like she still has a really great head on her shoulders. She has really good ideas about where she wants to be, what she wants to sound like. She seems like she has a really firm grasp on that. I'm just hoping that the industry does not screw her over because she's really doing well.
There's two segments that I really liked on here. The first one being the orchestrated version of Good For You.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was a really good different interpretation, good different take on it. The second one was the many performances strewn together of Driver's License, which if you ever wanted a microcosm of what it means to put out a hit song and to travel and tour just on that one song, that segment right there did a really good job of showing that making a hit song and putting it on the radio is great, but then you just sing that same song over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's a great microcosm of showing that she is like, it's the same song put into like the same order, just the different performance of her performing across country at different venues, at different award shows, at different late night shows, different times of her singing it. And it's not that one song, Driver's License, which we've all heard by now, is not her ever shown like it's from a microphone singing. like all the other ones are in front of a band singing. It's her on tour or performing for someone else somewhere for a different audience.
It's cool. It's a cool way of doing that. I'll say it. I'll say it. I think that we're living in a golden era for the music documentary. Absolutely. There are so many of them now, and they're all so good, and they're all from different perspectives, and they're all like fascinating artifacts of what it is to be a artist now. I mean, we just talked about Kanye West. We talked about the Long Pond sessions with Taylor Swift. We talked about Miss Americana with Taylor Swift. We talked about Billie Eilish. Both are special, and also her documentary. There's so much,
the Apple documentary.
Right. There's so much happening right now that gives you a peek behind that curtain that I think is crucial, and it's all very good. And so, this is just another one to add to the pile.
And it's not just new acts too. Bruce Springsteen last year released a movie about his most recent album as well.
Yeah, just a good time to be a music fan. Just so much to enjoy, and so many cool visual interpretations of the music that you like. And it's great news.
So one question I want to pose to you about this driving home to you. How much of it felt like privileged white girl going around doing all this stuff?
I don't think that this happens in the way that it did if we weren't in a pandemic.
Okay.
I think that's changed a lot of it, because this seemed more likely that they would show up to a place and it would be empty than it would be in any other time.
Exactly.
I think that it's a time and place thing.
Okay.
You're not wrong. Olivia does have sway because of who she is, but also I think it's just a perfect timing for this.
Well, because it opens up with I grew up in California.
Right.
I was a child actor.
Yeah.
I wanted to do this.
Yes.
My parents helped me, and then I became a huge success.
It's got the same baggage that Billie does, and we talked about this with the Billie Eilish documentary as well, which is it does remind you she's not completely helpless. She did get a boost that a lot of people don't get. You have to remember that when you talk about her. So you're right. It's important to keep in mind. But overall, though, it is still a unique way to be catapulted that really only exists now. The idea of a video going viral and that becoming an entire career. Like the fact that she had to basically convince her label to make a record, like an album, because
off of driver's
license success, and they agreed at some point because she was right. And it's made them millions upon millions of dollars, that decision. So I'm sure that they don't regret it.
Yes.
But you're right. There's a little bit of nuance there, a little context that maybe other people maybe not have the same advantage.
Touch on that in Driving Home to You. Not a whole lot, but it is there.
But it's not the point. I feel like if you're going to do that, it has to be the whole focus of what you're doing. And that's a different documentary. That's closer to a Miss Americana, when you actually start digging into the psyche of the person and be like, how has this fame affected you? And maybe that's coming in another 4 years. Maybe we'll get that Olivia documentary when that happens. But for now, she's starting. And this is a good idea, like a good document of your first record, your first success. Kind of similarly to that first two parts of Kanye's thing.
Yep.
Is a good, good version of what it means to go from not like on the fringes to shatteringly big in just one record.
Or just one song, one
in both
one shining cases, moment.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get there.
We'll get there. That's next week.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about in television?
Real quickly, Amanda Bynes conservatorship ends.
Not television news, but yes, relevant.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know where else to put this, but just something that had popped in my head because we were talking about child stars with Olivia Rodrigo, and Amanda Bynes, child star, conservatorship ends. So good for her. Yeah. Good for you.
Just real briefly about television.
You're so happy and healthy. Not me, but if you ever care to ask.
Media Boat favorites, Amphibia and Owl House have restarted their seasons this past week. I will talk about those again when we hit the finales.
You mentioned the bombs were dropping last week.
Yes, so exciting stuff happening in both of those shows.
Yep. 911 officially returned. So did The Good Doctor. So TV,
Network TV is back.
Network TV is back. Olympics are done. All your good, wholesome stuff. Same with MasterChef. That is also back.
Oh, is it?
Master Chef Junior.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, is back. Yes,
I'm gonna watch
that started up again. So yeah, between now, April through end of May, start of June, is going to be your 8 weeks of good network TV, or at least your comfort binging TV.
Sounds good to me.
Along with that, Kenan, Young Rock also return. Same with Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
All the FBI shows on and Chuck Lorre stuff on CBS.
I believe ABC stuff has also returned.
Survivor also returned, I think, last week as well. I think there's a new Celebrity Survivor version, Edge of the Unknown or something like that. Living on the
Edge of the Unknown.
Yeah, something like that. It's Edge of something.
All right.
But yeah, network TV's back. It's going to go run through the end to the end of summer here.
Yeah, cool.
Or sorry, the end of summer,
beginning of summer. Yes, through spring.
Yep, through spring, through the beginning of summer. Where once we get to summer, it's game show times again.
All right,
because cheap TV to make.
Well, that's a perfect segue into cancellations and renewals. Let's talk about some of the shows that are continuing and some of the shows that are not.
Yes.
First up on Nickelodeon, they are bringing back the Patrick Star Show, that SpongeBob spinoff for a second season.
Spinoff.
Yes, spinoff. Back to 15 will get a second season on Netflix. The Oval will get another season on BET, as well as Sisters.
Yep, both of those are Tyler Perry joints.
My Brilliant Friend.
Not me.
Will be getting will end after its fourth season on HBO. And just like that, the spinoff of Sex and the City will get a second season on HBO Max. Pacific Rim, The Black. The series based on the Pacific Rim franchise will get a second season, but it will be its last on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
The Ultimatum was given an ultimatum for a second season on Netflix.
Yep, ahead of its first season premiere, which is in next month, I believe.
And Media Vote favorite, Love is Blind. We'll get 2 more seasons. We'll bring it to a 5th season on Netflix.
Yep, with 5 seasons of Love is Blind coming our way.
Yep. Meanwhile, the CW has done... Oh, did I skip one?
You skipped one.
Archive 81, by the way. Canceled after 1 season on Netflix. But then, as I was going to say, the CW has done their annual Everything is Renewed, Oprah style, for 1 season extra.
The Berlanti shows.
Yep. All American, The Flash, Kung Fu, Nancy Drew, Riverdale, Superman and Lois, and Walker are all getting another season. Oh, want to also mention, also back from the break with its season premiere is Riverdale.
Yes.
Or not season, mid-season premiere. So that's back as well. Again, I will talk about that when we hit the finale. Because, oh boy, it's already getting ridiculous in classic Riverdale stead. I don't know. Yeah, I know you saw my tweet.
Yes.
Oh boy. I'll tell you after the podcast the weird ass thing that's happening in Riverdale right now. All right, that's it for cancellations, renewals. But we have one really sad death to talk about that happened yesterday.
Struck out of nowhere.
Or happened? We found out about it this morning, actually.
It came out. News came out yesterday as the aforementioned Foo Fighters were set to perform during a festival.
Yeah. So the Foo Fighters, their longtime drummer Taylor Hawkins, has passed away at the young age of 50. It's unclear exactly what the cause is right now.
Cause of death currently is unknown. He was just found in his hotel room 1 hour, or at least I think 2 hours before they were set to go on stage. A statement was put out by the Foo Fighters on Twitter, Facebook, social media, 1 hour before they were set to perform. That drummer, Taylor Hawkins, had officially passed away.
So needless to say, of course, this is a sad one. 50 is very young and obviously a very influential, important drummer in rock and roll. Part of the reasons why Foo Fighters work so well is because everybody is such a great musician in that band, including Taylor Hawkins. And I think the best way to put it, and I saw this on Twitter, is you have to be a great drummer to drum in a band with Dave Grohl and not want Dave Grohl to be on drums.
Yes.
Like the fact that that's not even a question, that of course he's the drummer. It means that you are one of the best drummers of all time. So we lost a great today, and it's just so sad to see. Expect to see tributes to him at the Grammys. I expect to see tributes to him throughout the year. Expect to see Foo Fighters and Dave Grohl talk a lot about the legacy of this guy.
Yep.
This morning on K-Rock driving here, they were playing a lot of Foo Fighters in honor of him and having little blips of talking about like little tributes to him. just so depressing and just so sad. Just have a legend of drumming just lost at such a young age.
Yeah, 50 is young.
Yes.
And in this day and age, it's especially unexpected too.
It's brutal. It's brutal, is what it is. So yeah, he will be missed.
Yep. No word yet on whether Foo Fighters will continue performing. I can only guess that the remainder of their concerts will be postponed.
I would imagine until find somebody either, like you said, to tour with them as a drummer.
Or Dave Grohl just goes on drums.
Sings from the kit, maybe, and have a guitarist. I don't know what they do. You have a lot of options, but I don't know. Anyway.
But right now, I think Foo Fighters will take some time.
Yes.
And, I mean, like we said, they put out an album. So listen to that. Listen to the discography. It's just sad news. Unexpected sad news.
For sure. Let's move on, hopefully, with some better news as we move into the movie section, which this week is actually kind of a big deal because it is Oscar weekend, baby.
And we'll get to that.
First off, though, we have to talk about the box office. Number one, The Batman with another $36 million. That's an even cool $300 million domestic.
Hey, that's a hit.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Congratulations, Matt Reeves.
Number two, Jujutsu Kaisen 0, the movie.
You said that right.
$14 million debut. So there's your anime film.
Yes. Following Demon Slayer Mugen Train.
Yeah, I guess so.
Your new anime film.
Number three, Uncharted with another $7.8 million. That's at 125.
Ooh, that's a Midland 125.
Yeah, not great for it. Number four, X with a $4.4 million debut. Number five, rounding out your top five, Dog with another $3.9 million. That's at 54. In case you were wondering where your last week debut, Uma, went, way down at number 11 with only $1 million. Not so great.
Nope. It was, I'm not going to see this.
I guess not. But if that doesn't sound interesting to you, we do have one release this week. Which is the big Sony Marvel film in the Venomverse, I guess is what they're calling it. Morbius, and oh boy, is it getting bad press before this thing comes out.
Yes. The Lost City with Sandra Bullock is currently out right now as of this recording. But next week, Morbius with Morbius. Jared Leto.
Jared Leto looking ridiculous. And
as vampire Morbius.
All the word of mouth about this thing seems bad. So viewer beware. Yeah.
Really? The trailer didn't tell you it was going to be bad?
Oh my God. Everything about this seems bad as well.
Starring Jared Leto, did not say it was going to be bad?
Red flag right there. So there you go. Moving on into movie news. Of course, like I said, it's Awards Week. Awards are rewards.
Yes.
For good movies. And the thing that, of course, happens right before Oscars is the BAFTAs. So we move into the UK, talk about those. The Power of the Dog was your big winner. Taking the big two prizes of the night, Best Picture and Best Director for Jane Campion. As the final awards ceremony is right around the corner tomorrow at the Oscars. Dune cleaned up below the line with score, cinematography, production design, sound, and visual effects. The expected acting awards went to Will Smith, Troy Kotsur, Ariana DeBose, but with British actor Joanna Scanlon making the upset victory for After Love. She is not, however, up for the Oscar and will not be an upset there.
Oh, no. That was definitely a homer pick, British actor going to a British award show.
Sure. Meanwhile, Coda and Licorice Pizza were your screenplay winners, and Belfast won the Lone Homer Award of that night for the Outstanding British Film. So those are the BAFTAs. Seems to pretty much match up with my expectations for Oscar night. So I'm feeling pretty good. About these BAFTAs.
Yes, but we have to go into, why don't I see it here?
Our second...
You did not share it with this account. Okay.
I shared it with your personal account.
Yes. I'll pull that up.
So that moves on obviously into our second section here, which is all about the Oscars. Let's move through some Oscar bits before we do our predictions here for the Media Web podcast.
Mm-hmm.
First up, with 3 films putting a spotlight on deaf culture, this year the Academy will test out tablet technology for the purposes of translation. Guests at the Dolby Theater can request a tablet at their seat, which hooks into the cup holder. Each tablet features a fully adjustable arm, so guests can move it into a position that best suits them. 2 ASL interpreters situated in a room directly next to the main house will sign everything that happens inside the Dolby, and they will be live streamed to those tablets. The telecast will be hosted by a trio of actress-comedians, Regina Hall, Amy Schumer, and Wanda Sykes. Schumer recently made comments about having Ukraine President Zelensky, a former actor himself, provide a prepared message to be played during the ceremony. We don't know if that's actually going to happen.
No. There was a headline saying that Schumer wanted Zelensky at the Oscars. It's taken out of context. It said that she was talking with producers about Zelensky, either doing a live feed or something pre-recorded to play at the Oscars, since the Oscars has a lot of eyes on it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that happens. Meanwhile, the Academy has mulled over its COVID protocols, with first revealing that they would not require vaccinations for its guests, but of course quickly reversed its stance to vaccination requirements for nominees and guests, but not performers and presenters. I don't know why they would have such a weird line there, but here we are.
Oh, it's not a doc, that's why.
I'm trying to pull up these nominations.
It's a sheet.
It's a sheet. It's not a doc.
That's why I can't find it.
All right. Let's finish up these news bits here. Where was I? 5 craft and 3 short film category presentations, as we previously reported, will be cut out of the live broadcast at the Dolby Theater. The 8 categories consist of animated short, not animated feature, I believe.
Yeah, animated documentary and live action short films.
Right. Editing, makeup and hairstyling, original score, production design, and sound. So a lot of below-the-line stuff will not be on the telecast, but will be presented in abbreviated form.
Yes.
One member of the sound branch is so upset that they're, quote, considering everything up to and including resigning from the Academy, unquote. They said, I'm furious. It shows a complete lack of respect for the crafts. Sounds like we're weaving baskets rather than creatively participating in making a film. I have been communicating with people about this, and as far as I can tell, there's unanimous anger and disappointment among the sound branch at this move. There's discussion going on about a broad response for content to directors too.
And
though a day, like about 24 hours more or less before the show starts, no movement has been made about this. It seems like they're going through with the decision, and we'll see if there's a reaction.
Yep. Because this is the award site. This is where you get your name out there. This is the broad telecast.
Yeah.
And if you are awarded and you don't get recognized for it, you might as well have been awarded at the governor's ball, where it's not telecasted anyways.
Yeah, it's like, the debate between like which Emmys count, like the ones that are on TV for prime time or the local Emmy you get for your news show.
Right.
And yeah, I think it sucks. All of the statues should be given out live, straight up. That's my opinion. Who cares if no one's watching it? If you really care, give it to streaming network that'll show it to the audience that actually wants to see it.
Put it on streaming to where you can run it with commercial free and have people there watch it. So you run your commercials during the broadcast, get your commercial money there. But on streaming, have it live there.
The era in which the Oscars were a mainstream event is over and has been over for a decade.
Yep.
This is the era of marketing to the people where the audience is. Find your audience as opposed to trying to cater to every audience. That's my opinion. Now, speaking of audiences, it's our time to tell our audience what we think the winners to tomorrow's broadcast will be.
Yep. So we're just going to go in order here of what you've written down for us.
Yeah, this was the order presented in one of the websites that I looked at. I forget whose order it was. But yes, this will take us to, actually, I want to say this maybe is broadcast order, or at least it's similar to what I think we might see
order.
In a broadcast order, because it ends with the big prizes.
Yeah, it ends with director and picture. So this might be the broadcast order.
Might be. So let's start from the very top. So what we've done here is we basically said, this is just to remind everybody who we think will win. This is not personal choice. If we want to, we can also say who we think actually deserves it.
Yes.
But let's start with the top here, Best Supporting Actor. We have Kieran. Is that how you say his first name?
Kieran
Hines. For Belfast, Troy Kotsur for Coda, Jesse Plemons for The Power of the Dog, J.K. Simmons for Being the Ricardos, and Cody Smith-McPhee for The Power of the Dog. Who do you have for this one?
Going with the one who's been winning it all, including the BAFTA just now, Troy Kotsur for Coda.
Yes.
That's what you have as well.
Yeah, I think it's the choice that makes this makes sense the most this year. As you said, seems to be the popular favorite in other award shows going into the Oscars. Also, a deaf actor signing throughout this film makes it a unique performance that's unlike anything else. Definitely makes his performance stand out.
Yep. Best supporting actress is going to be a runaway for Ariana DeBose. Don't need to name anyone else on this list.
Yeah, it seems like it's going that way. I think if you do see an upset, it's probably Kirsten Dunst for Power of the Dog. But yeah, you're right. Seems like most likely Ariana DeBose here. All of us here have that as our call.
Yep. The other nominees who will only stay. So the other nominees who can put Academy Award nominee on their banners.
Yes.
Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughters, Judi Dench for Belfast, Kirsten Dunst for Power of the Dog, and Ajuane Ellis for
Ingenue. You say it like the word.
Ingenue by King Richard.
Yes. Moving on to the next category, Best Animated Short Film, one of the notoriously hardest to guess.
Yep.
Affairs of the Art, Bestia, Box Ballet, Robin, and The Windshield Wiper. So what do you got for this one?
I'm going with The Windshield Wiper. No. It's like homeless. That's why. That's
got
why.
It.
That's why I went with that.
Person who wipes windshields. Okay, so I'm going with Robin because that is the Aardman short here.
Okay.
Aardman and Oscar Darling. So
yes.
Also, it's the only one out of these that I had heard about.
Okay.
So that's kind of my reasoning for that one.
All right. Best Costume Design.
Yes.
For Cruella, Cyrano, Dune, Nightmare Alley, and West Side Story. As much as I liked the costume designs for West Side Story and Nightmare Alley,
it's Cruella.
It's gonna be Cruella. That was a fashion show.
Whenever you make a movie that literally is about fashion, it's gonna have a step up for costume design. It will be wild if it loses. This is Cruella's Oscar to win.
Best live action short film.
Yeah.
A la Kachu, which is Take and Run. The Dress, The Long Goodbye, On My Mind, and Please Hold.
Another notoriously hard category to grasp because these are not really widely available. I have The Long Goodbye here as it seems to be the most winningest going into this.
Yep.
That being said, this is one of those really tight categories, could literally be anyone's.
Right, because they're live action short films, which you have to go to festivals to see, or I believe Amazon put them on.
Yes, some of them, I think.
It was either Amazon or Hulu who put all the both live action and animated shorts on their streaming service.
Yeah.
I want to say it was Amazon because they also did the South by Southwest
I think
thing.
you're right. They have deals with those studios. Yep. Next up, Best Original Score. An interesting one this year. Don't Look Up, Nicholas Britell. Dune by Hans Zimmer. Encanto by Jermaine Franco. Parallel Mothers by Alberto Iglesias. And The Power of the Dog by Johnny Greenwood. So
everyone's going with Dune. Dune's been winning sound across the board.
Dune seems to be the favorite going in.
Except for you.
So I am differentiating here because this, and I said this when I talked about my take on The Power of the Dog on this podcast. This is the first time in probably a long, long time, maybe since Up, where I've actually, Pixar's Up, where I've actually thought about a score after I finished the movie. I'm not kidding. The score in Power of the Dog is so unique and so driving and so interesting and does so much work and heavy lifting in this movie to make the vibe different than it would be if it was without it, that I think that this movie is defined by its score to the point where I can't not try to at least award it. I think it has a chance too because Johnny Greenwood is a known name for his work with Radiohead. I think that gives him a little bit of advantage. This wouldn't be the first time that somebody who used to be in a band, I'm looking at you, Trent Reznor, has a chance at an Oscar here. So, yes, Dune is going in with it as the favorite because it's the recognizable name with Hans Zimmer. But I don't know if you've been paying attention to Hans Zimmer the last 10 years, but he's made basically a company, and it's not really him that's writing his music. It's music by committee. And so to me, I think to award Hans Zimmer for a decade where he's pretty much just kicked his feet up and delegated responsibilities seems a little unfair, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. They shouldn't put awards to people who kick their feet up and delegate to other people how they should act, how they should dress, how they should say certain words, how lighting should look. No, those people don't deserve the award. Yes, they are.
I know. You know what I mean, though. I feel like to me, I want to reward a more unique, special score as opposed to, oh, you did a fantasy score that has got a memorable like theme, which is what everybody's saying about Dune. It's like, well, it's got a memorable theme. Like, yeah, I get it, but still. So yes, Dune will probably win here, but I'm crossing my fingers for Power of the Dog.
It's all right. It's because we both agree that
it's going to sweep everything below the line. So yes, best sound will definitely go to Dune. Not a question. Like the fact that there were literally sounds that were so high pitched, I could not hear them with my old ass ears. Of course, I didn't have the sound system I do now, so maybe I was just losing a frequency.
Well, that's a good thing is that now with HBO Max, it's back on there. You can watch it again.
But yeah, literally, we were watching it with subtitles because Christy loves subtitles. So it had to say high-pitched whirring or whatever on it, or high-pitched vocals. And I literally was like, well, I'm glad that subtitle is telling me because I can't hear shit. So great sound design is, I guess, what I'll have to say. So it will go to Dune. Adapted screenplay. So right now, the competitors are Coda by Sean Hayter, Drive My Car by Ryusuke Hamaguchi and Takamasa Oe, Dune by John Spates, Denise Villeneuve, and Eric Roth. Jeez, these names. The Lost Daughter by Maggie Gyllenhaal. Yes, that Maggie Gyllenhaal. And The Power of the Dog by Jane Campion. You are differentiating here.
Is it too late to change my vote?
No. Yes, it is. You are locked.
Okay, because I would have put Coda here instead.
Too late. Yes.
So my current vote is Drive My Car.
Yes.
Mainly I picked it because it is the international film that is in Best Adapted Screenplay. It's different. It strikes out to me.
It's an adaptation specifically of a Murakami book as well, and he's probably the most well-known Japanese author. So if that's going to be your source material, then I'd say that's a good start.
Yes.
But the favorite here, of course, is Jane Campion's adaptation of The Power of the Dog. I think it's hard to argue with. I think if there is some sort of upset for Best Picture, it will at least win adapted screenplay. So I see this is where Power of the Dog shines.
I did not pick Power of the Dog anywhere because it is Netflix. And
again,
Academy does not like Netflix.
I don't think
I'm just saying
it matters anymore as much as you think it does.
All right, so let's go to Best Original Screenplay.
Yes, we have Belfast by Kenneth Branagh, Don't Look Up by Adam McKay and David Sirota, King Richard by Zach Balin, Licorice Pizza by Paul Thomas Anderson, and The Worst Person in the World by Exil Vogt and Joachim Treuer. So you have Belfast here.
Yes. I am a big Kenneth Branagh. He's both. So Belfast is nominated up there with Power of the Dog in the most across all categories. Kenneth Branagh
is not nominated. The favorite in any of them.
He's not favorite in it, but Kenneth Branagh himself is also the most nominated person across all the films, across all the categories. So
you're saying like he's got to win one of them?
If he's going to win one of them, it's going to be here.
I don't know. I'm literally banking on a Belfast snub tomorrow night, so I don't see it happening.
I'm saying if he's going to win one, it might as well be here because he's not going to win, even though he's producing the other stuff, not going to win anywhere else.
In a similar fashion, though, I think this is where Licorice Pizza wins because I think otherwise there's not an award it will win. This is its time to shine. I think Paul Thomas Anderson's screenplay is the reason this movie exists. I think even beyond the direction, this is the soul of this movie. And it's such an interesting, weird, quirky screenplay with weird, quirky characters having adventures. I think it's gotta be acknowledged for it. I think Licorice Pizza wins it.
Right, but like going into pre-Oscar season, like Belfast was the thing everyone was talking about because of the screenplay. Because of the screenplay, because it was good. So I'm hoping that's gonna.
It lost the momentum. The momentum is gone. I don't think it has a chance.
All right. Best actor in the leading role
is a lock.
Yeah. Will Smith has won every award there is to win for Best Leading Actor, unless we have another weird ass upset from last year.
Yeah. I don't think it'll happen. I think this is Will Smith's to lose. I think you have an outside chance of Benedict Cumberbatch, but besides that, it's Will Smith's night.
Yep. Because others nominated for lead actor is Javier Bardem, Benedict Cumberbatch, Andrew Garfield, and Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
One of these things not like the other. Looking at you, Andrew Garfield.
You know what? If that movie is going to be acknowledged for anything, it's going to be his performance in it.
Yes.
But yeah, I think Will Smith.
But you're talking about Andrew Garfield up against 4
like legends,
titans of the industry here.
Right.
Of acting. Titans of acting.
It's tough. But yeah, this will be Will Smith's Oscar to win.
Yep.
Best Actress in a similar way is pretty much a lock at this point, although you don't agree.
I don't agree.
Jessica Chastain is going in as the favorite for the eyes of Tammy Faye and is my pick. But you have Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter, as she is already an Oscar winner and is notoriously unpredictable speech-wise.
Yes.
And is just generally a good vibe for Oscar night. So I could see it happening if there is an upset here.
I mean, it wasn't a surprise that she won last time.
Yeah.
But she was nominated here. So, yeah, I'm pulling for it.
Also, with Outside Chance, Kristen Stewart with a hot year right now.
Yes.
She has a chance, but only I feel like if Jessica Chastain and Olivia Colman split the vote, which I don't think they will.
I don't think they will. I think it's going to split one way or the other, not evenly.
Right. I don't think
Kristen
so.
Stewart.
I think Jessica Chastain has this, but.
Yep. The other nominees, Nicole Kidman for being Ricardos and Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers.
Yep. All right, moving on to the Media Vote podcast category. I mean, the Best Animated Feature Film category. Probably the one we give the most lip service to every year.
Yes.
Because we are who we are. That's between Encanto, the documentary Flea, Luca, The Mitchells versus the Machines, and Raya and the Last Dragon. So this race, of course, is really Encanto versus the Mitchells. You have them both taking pretty much even awards going into this. The more animation specialized awards seem to be giving more of the nods to the Mitchells, whereas your broader format ones are giving it to Encanto.
That being said, the Annies went to Mitchells versus the Machines.
But again, the Annies are only animation industry.
Yes.
I feel like the broad spectrum of voters you get
are going to go Disney.
You've read those articles about like people who vote and don't know half the animated features in there.
Yes.
They know the one that their kids watch.
Yep.
And as we know from the music charts this year, kids watched Encanto more than anything else.
Yes, I know that.
This is Encanto's to win, and it will be an upset if the Mitchells takes it. Of course, I will be thrilled because obviously I think it should win.
Yes. Mitchells vs. Machine also won during the producers.
Yes.
Award show.
Again, different clientele. I think this is the biggest block here is actors. And what do actors have? They have young children who have watched Encanto.
I know.
Just saying. I think this is Encanto's, especially in the year where Bruno was everywhere.
Yes, but if there's one place where I'm going to take the edge in our county here.
You're doing the thing that I did with Score here. I get it.
Yes.
Where it's like, obviously, this is a passion for you. Yep. So we'll see. Maybe. I would love to be wrong here.
Yep.
This is the only one where I would love to get it wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. Moving on. Best cinematography. This is the classic matchup, and I'll get there in a second. But here's all the nominee options here. Dune, Greg Fraser for that film. Nightmare Alley, Dan Lauston. The Power of the Dog, Ari Wegner. The Tragedy of Macbeth, Bruno Del Bono.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah. And West Side Story by everybody's favorite unpronounceable name,
Janu
Kaminski. Yeah, whatever.
It's Janu.
Janu?
Yeah.
What do you do with this Z? Isn't
it's Polish. It's
Anyways, the favorite going into this is Dune. It seems like it's mostly won this category. But I've also seen people say that there's possibilities for Power of the Dog and Tragedy of Macbeth here. They're both very well shot films, especially Power of the Dog, that compared to something like Dune, which has the advantage of being an effects style movie, that it may actually tip the scales a little bit. But like I said, this is a classic matchup because this is where I've gotten this category wrong in the past. Last year, for instance, I put my eggs in the basket of the more traditionally shot film, ended up getting it wrong, and it went to the effects film. So that's why I have Dune here, because I'm not going to make the same mistake twice.
Well, I have Dune here because it was my #1 film of the year last year.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I basically swept Dune all throughout here.
Yeah.
Except for Best Picture, which we'll get to.
We'll get there. Next up, though, is Best Documentary Feature, which also seems to be a lock at this point. It's between Ascension, Attica, Flea, Summer of Soul, quote, or parentheses, ... or When the Revolution Could Not Be Televised, in parentheses, and Writing with Fire. you pretty much see Summer of Soul winning this with an outside chance of Flea, I think, as it's unique in its animated format.
An animated documentary, but Summer of Soul by Questlove about the 1970s revolution.
Got the big name to it. It's got the political cachet.
It's got the Disney Plus behind it, the Hulu behind it, Disney's behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like this is probably your winner. I still haven't seen this. I might watch this today.
I think it's on Disney Plus.
It is on Disney Plus and Hulu.
Yep.
So check that out. Meanwhile, documentary short subject, we have Audible, Lead Me Home, The Queen of Basketball, 3 Songs for Benazir, and When We Were Bullies. Why do you have 3 songs for Benazir here?
It sounded like the more like family one.
Okay.
Similar to like a Journal for Jordan. It's like about a sort of subject about parents doing something for their kids. I think I should have gone with Audible because that's the one about the deaf school.
Yes, but you know why? That breaks your own rule because that's Netflix.
Yes.
That's the thing here is that Audible, depending on where you're seeing predictions, that seems to be a favorite for this category, but it's a very tight category, just like the short is.
Right.
I have Queen of Basketball because I saw that more than Audible, but I also I could see it going that direction too. Those are the two.
Once again, short subject. It's going to be a toss-up.
Yeah. Next up, film editing. This is a weird one this year. Between Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, The Power of the Dog, and Tick, Tick, Boom. All very differently edited films.
Yeah.
So this could go literally any way. I don't know. But because most of these technical awards are going to Dune, it's going to probably be Dune.
Yes. As I mentioned, if you're going to go below the line here, your best bet is going with Dune because it's going to win. Probably ended up 9 out of the 10 awards it's nominated for.
But
below the line.
If the editors have their way, though, you could see a Don't Look Up upset that pisses everyone off.
Oh, yes, you could, but we will not.
Like the Bohemian Rhapsody debacle could happen all over again. You're going to see all these great packages of like a movie that was edited like this won the editing award. Yep. And everybody be upset about it. Another lock category is Best International Feature Film, where Drive My Car is all but guaranteed to win. You also have Flea nominated here, as well as The Hand of God from Italy, Luana, A Yak in the Classroom from Bhutan, and The Worst Person in the World from Norway. But yeah, it's Drive My Car.
Yep. The international film that's also nominated for Best Feature Film.
It has to. It's the Roma rule.
It's the Roma rule.
Next up, Best Makeup and Hairstyling, aka the category where you get the weirdest nominees, is this year Coming to America, Cruella, Dune, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, and House of Gucci. Even though leading up to this, it seemed like House of Gucci's to win, it is now The Eyes of Tammy Faye seems to be the favorite in this category due to the fact of how accurate Tammy Faye is in this film.
This is getting the Dallas Buyers Club bump.
Yes, it is.
That being said, that's where you're going.
Yeah.
I'm going with Cruella because of all the makeup and hairstyling, specifically the hairstyling.
Yeah, there's a hairstyling argument there.
And it's makeup, and it's fashion.
And
it's 70s London punk aesthetics.
But the accuracy of the Tammy Faye stuff, I think, hard to argue with.
Like I said, it's got the Dallas Buyers Club, which won for makeup and hairstyling.
So yeah, keep an eye on the eyes, is what I will say.
Yep.
Original song, this one is a tough one this year. This is split down the middle. We have Be Alive from King Richard, which is the Beyonce power behind it. Dos Oruguitas from Encanto, which has the Lin-Manuel power behind it. Down to Joy by Van Morrison, so nobody cares. And No Time to Die from Billie Eilish, who has the award power behind it. And then also Somehow You Do from 4 Good Days by Diane Warren, which has the Diane Warren effect to it. So geez, there's another one that could go all sorts of ways. Yep. My power is behind Billie here. She's on an awards hot streak. And I think that the broader amount of people that are voting will be like, oh, Billie Eilish, and go here. But there's an argument in the same kind of way for the Disney song.
My thing is that No Time to Die should not even qualify for this area because the song itself was released a year and a half prior to, of course, the film actually being released.
A moot point, though, because it's clearly nominated.
Yes.
So you can't, that doesn't matter.
I still plays into why I don't want it to win.
So why do you have Lin
here? Because Lin-Manuel didn't win for Moana.
Right.
One.
This is the revenge Oscar.
It's a revenge Oscar.
It's also the EGOT.
It's also the EGOT if he wins it.
Yeah.
But it's also the foreign language Spanish version of Oruguitas, which, even if you don't speak Spanish, still comes across emotionally well, and you get what the tone and the feel is in the film with that song.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I agree with you. And I think that probably if it was my personal choice, I would also go with it. So this is another instance of if it does win, I wouldn't be upset. That being said, it seems like it's Billy's to win here. Billy and Phineas are both award champions right now, and I can't see them losing.
Yes, but Lin-Manuel's EGOT. Lin-Manuel's EGOT.
Might lose again.
Lin-Manuel's EGOT.
Sorry to tell you, Lin. Moving into production design as we start to get towards the end here. We have Dune, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, The Tragedy of Macbeth, and West Side Story. Even though I think this should be Nightmare Alley, and it's obnoxious that it's not the favorite, this will be Dune.
So here's where I say that I actually watched Nightmare Alley.
Yeah, okay.
I like the production design.
Yeah,
very classy. But it's also very dynamic between the Carnies part and the city part.
Yeah, when it goes into noir mode in the second half, they really pivot really well.
Yes, it pivots hard for production.
It shows range.
That being said, it's Dune.
It's Dune.
It's Dune. You make sand exciting, so some reason. How do you make sand exciting?
You make sand exciting.
Make Dune.
It's a good argument. And yeah, you're right. The whole vibe of Dune is well done for the kind of fantasy world it needs to portray, and it will likely be celebrated.
Also, if you're doing, you may not be doing this, but a direct comparison between the 1984 Dune and Best Production and 2022 or 2021 Dune, there's no comparison. You can see the leaps and bounds in that production design.
Absolutely.
Everywhere across the board.
Speaking of which, Best Visual Effects will also likely go to Dune, also in this category.
Also for the exact same reasons.
Yeah.
Look at those visual effects.
Right. So we don't need to say much about that. But also in the category Free Guy, No Time to Die, Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings, and Spider-Man No Way Home. You might as well rename this as the action movie category because that's what's in here every year. So yeah, Dune will win this.
Yep.
Moving on to Best Director, which seems to be a lock. We have Kenneth Branagh for Belfast, Ryusuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car, Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza, Jane Campion for The Power of the Dog, and Steven Spielberg for West Side Story. This also has the Revenge Oscar theme this year, as Jane Campion notably lost for The Piano. Will likely win here. Seems to be the favorite going into it.
Jane Campion has not lost in director here.
So it would make sense. Also, notably, will be the second woman to ever win Best Director.
Yep, the first one, if she wins. First one being 2010's Oscar winner, right? Did win?
For the Hurt Locker.
Yeah, for the Hurt Locker.
Best Picture winner, the Hurt Locker. Also, one for Catherine Bigelow for Best Director as well.
Yes.
So yeah, look forward to that. And then we have the big one, Best Picture, which we seem to think is a two-way street. There's only two ways this could possibly go.
Yep.
We have Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, and The Power of the Dog, and with West Side Story as the outside.
So let's just break down everything real quick here.
Yes.
West Side Story. It's great. It's acting. It's beautiful to look at. It's from Steven Spielberg, but it's also the safe play.
It's very safe. It's got the Disney lobby power behind it, but I don't think it has a chance here against the stronger competition. I think in any other year it might have a shot. This is not the year it does.
Nightmare Alley, Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
It's a favorite he's a favorite amongst the voting
Previous
academy.
Best Picture and Best Director winner.
Exactly.
Shape of Water. So he's got a little bit of cachet. That being said, though, Nightmare Alley by the kind of film it is not as strong of an entry this year. It's not The Shape of Water. And I think that it's different enough and that it's just not as prestige as some of these other options.
No, but it does have the circular storytelling where it ends right where it began.
Yep.
Licorice Pizza, Paul Thomas Anderson, also critical darling.
Yes, often the bridesmaid and not the bride when it comes to Best Picture and Best Director. But this one also has the advantage of being the story about Hollywood. And you know how much Hollywood loves stories about themselves. Though, again, because the strength of this lineup, it will probably not win. But the fact that it's there is saying a lot.
Yep. King Richard. This is Will Smith's film, In and Out. It is Will Smith will win the acting category.
Yeah.
And
that's why it's here.
That's why it's here, though.
Otherwise, you had some problems with storytelling in King Richard, and I don't think that it is strong enough of a film overall to really be a favorite here.
No. Dune. It's going to win every below the line award.
It's your popular choice.
Popular choice. It was my favorite film across all of last year.
But what usually happens with the popular choice is it usually loses.
Yes, it will lose.
With the exception of Lord of the Rings. So I do not think. I think what the assumption here is they'll give it to it after the trilogy is over.
Yes.
Or after the series is over.
Yep.
Or how many of these do you make?
Yep. Dune 3 or whatever.
Yeah, they
Dune
will
4.
not do it for the first one.
Nope. Drive My Car. That's the international film. It'll win international film.
Yeah.
But will not win Best Picture.
This is your potential Parasite style upset. I don't think it does it.
Yep. Don't Look Up. Adam McKay, coming off of The Big Short.
The movie that does not belong in this list is the way what I will say. It's purely on the cachet of Adam McKay and nothing else.
Yep. And then Belfast, Kenneth Branagh. This was the very early favorite for Best Picture before streaming took over.
Seems safe, a possible option if there's a split. Probably goes to Belfast. I honestly don't think, though. Like I said, the momentum had died.
It's been nominated everywhere, but it hasn't picked up the hardware.
The momentum died. So that leaves the last two.
Yeah, the two big ones that will be competing head-to-head, the ones you're going to see.
Yeah.
The Power of the Dog for Netflix and Coda for Apple. One of these streaming services will walk away with the hardware.
Here's where my whole thing about you and your bias against Netflix doesn't make any sense because you have Coda here.
Yes.
That's so I was talking to Christy about this. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. They're never going to give it to Apple the first year of eligibility. No, they are such a new up and comer. As strong as Coda is, there's no way that goes through the bureaucratic red tape of the Oscars.
But it does have the unique storytelling behind it.
You're not wrong. I think it's a good movie, and it could potentially do a Green Book style upset if it beats Power of the Dog here. I think you're right.
I'm just saying Netflix has pissed a lot of people off in the industry.
But the pandemic changed everything for Netflix. Everything streaming, the world is different now. The industry had to accept streaming with open arms in order to coexist with it. And I think that has forever changed how these awards go. And we're already seeing it. Power of the Dog has won so many of these prizes already. There's no way it does not walk away with Best Picture tomorrow.
Oh, I'll put $10 on it.
We're putting money on this, so I am that confident about this. It's Power of the Dog. Coda is probably the other option here, but I think the politicking of streaming still exists for some of the players. I think it still exists for Amazon. I think it still exists for Apple TV. I think Netflix maybe has broken through some of that, because if you have somebody like Jane Campion on your side in a year where she's the favorite for director, I don't think you have the Roma split this year. I think they do it.
Yes, but Coda won the SAG award for Best Ensemble. Coda won the Producers Award.
I know. It's also got the feel-good ending.
Also got the feel-good ending.
It's also the more family-friendly-ish. Yes. One of these two, but I don't see it winning. I think the Power of the Dog.
It's also the one that's, like it's been saying, with a unique perspective. Children of deaf people.
And it's not only the revenge...
deaf adults, sorry. Coda. Children of deaf adults.
It's not only the revenge Oscar for Jane Campion. It's also the revenge Oscar symbolically for Brokeback Mountain. Mm-hmm. It represents so many things that I feel like it winning would mean a lot to a lot of people. I think that this is their opportunity.
So would Coda.
I know.
Coda would.
Not in the same way. It's like, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see tomorrow, and we'll be back next week.
We'll see.
Either it'll be me gloating or you gloating, and we're going to wait and see who gets to gloat.
Either way, one of us is going to pick it up a phone and call it.
We'll see.
All right.
So those are our predictions. If you were able to track down all that nonsense we just said, you were able to jot down notes fast enough, then have fun with that. But if not, Make your own call. Make your own bet. It's fun.
Or watch the Oscars and then come back and see what we got right, what we got wrong, and laugh at us.
Yes, exactly. You can make fun of us if we're way off on all of this. It might be. Last year, that's what happened. So it could happen again. All right. Let's wrap this podcast up, why don't we, by talking about a couple of things that you watched that are technically movies.
Technically movies, technically streaming. So I caught up, one, like I said, with Nightmare Alley.
Yeah.
I agree with everything that you said about it when you watched it. It's a good film. It feels like two kind of different genres bumped up together.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy the circular storytelling, even if about halfway through I realized that's exactly where they were going to go.
Yes. As soon as I realized it was a noir, I realized, oh, this is a tragedy.
Yep.
Because it has to be.
It has to be.
The way they've written that character is you're not supposed to like him.
I was a little bit worried that they were going to go a very Matchstick Men style at the very end there, with which they kind of did, but also kind of didn't in a different way.
Yeah, they did.
But the fact that you end up like Dan Harmon's circular telling, you end right where you started.
Yeah, it's cute in that way.
It's cute in that way. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a strong movie. But I just think, like I said, compared to the best that Del Toro has done, it's not as consistent throughout, and it's not. You don't come out of it being like, "Man, that was amazing." You come out of it being like, "Oh, huh."
So, for this, I blame Bradley Cooper. He's too good looking to be in there.
You're right.
You get someone like Javier Bardem in there.
Yeah, if you get a little character actor in there, I think that you do get a little bit more of that grizzled thing.
Yeah.
Because one of the reasons why noir worked in the 40s is because you're right. You didn't put established lead actors in those roles. You put in more of those weird kind of side that.
Yeah,
not
like I
as
say, if you have
popular.
Javier Bardem in there, like who starts kind of like in that like kind of grungy carny like vibe, and then moves up into the wealth established, and you can see the transformation of that because he's such a good actor. Like that's the main thing. With
Bradley Cooper's a weird choice for this movie.
It is.
You're right.
I feel like that was a producer's choice. If you need a big name actor in here,
and also if you want to see two Bradley Cooper performances that could not be any different from each other, you should watch Nightmare Alley and then Licorice Pizza back to back. Just wildly different performance in Licorice Pizza. I don't even want to spoil it because you should eventually watch that movie.
Okay.
But holy shit.
Anyways.
But you also watch a couple of other things.
Yeah. I caught up on the Adam Project, which is the Ryan Reynolds time traveling with my kid. If you completely ignore like all the time travel ratifications and also the fact that this is supposed to be a kids movie, so it's not supposed to be that like end of the world stakes.
Right.
It's fine. I mean, it's gonna be some kids' favorite movie growing up. Similar to like how Spy Kids has that kind of like cachet around it, especially with our generation of how it was beloved by kids and kind of like middling. Like, is this right? Like when adults saw it. Same thing here with the Adam Project. A lot of it is, oh, that's nice. Like, I get it. It's very sweet and kind of like that. But then if you think too hard about it, it gets kind of muddled. So it's one of those things where like, yeah, it's good for like kids to watch. It's like PG-13 safe, I think. It's PG safe. There's some death and violence in it. But yeah, a lot of time travel shenanigans where if you think too hard about it, it kind of breaks the whole movie.
Because as you talked about, as you are the expert on time travel movies here at the Media Boat Podcast, every time one of these comes out, it's either you talk about the same thing. You have to establish the rules and make the rules clear, because if you don't, the entire movie doesn't work. The best time travel movies are the ones that really do a good job of being like, this is how this works,
and this is how we're going to stick to it,
and we're never going to move outside of that, because as soon as you do,
especially like halfway through this film, they say, oh, well, spoilers, this person was actually the first time traveler. That's how they built all their wealth. Like,
no, you already broke it.
Well, you already broke it then.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah. You have to establish that from the top, or else or else we can't follow it.
Yep.
Because then it's magic. You can never make it feel like magic.
Yep.
It has to feel like science.
That's the other thing, is that because they are from the future coming back to our time, a lot of it does feel like magic, because it's just a thing where like, oh, science and magic are just one and the same. You just can't really explain it quite yet.
It's funny because that actually just came up in Horizon.
Yep.
I was playing it where it was just like the lady was just like, "Oh, I can't see that," and Aloy's like, "Oh, that's because you have an earlier model. Here, I'll show you.
Yes.
I'll just give you this thing." Like, oh my god, she's like, "It's magic. You can see the magic," and Aloy's like, "No, it's just technology."
Yes.
Whatever. Anyway.
And lastly, the remake of Cheaper by the Dozen on Disney Plus.
Content note about this. Last week, I could have sworn you said this was Zac Efron, and then I saw a trailer like, that's Zach Braff.
Yeah, that's Zach Braff. I don't know if I might have said Zac Efron on it.
So I was going into I had this entire time assumed it was Zac Efron in this movie as the dad.
Oh, sorry, no, it's Zach Braff, different Zach.
So yeah, I saw a trailer finally, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, it's Zach Braff. This is a completely different vibe than I thought. Makes 100% more sense." I was like, Zac Efron's a weird choice.
But Zach Braff.
Zach Braff makes sense.
Yeah, a little bit of sense. Also, a little bit of a weird choice, especially where they went with this. How do I phrase this in a nice way? Zach Braff being white savior here.
Oh no!
Because that's the vibe that I got across this whole film. It does some. So as much as like the 2000s form version?
Yes, early 2000.
Yeah, with Steve Martin, it was mainly centered about the kids.
Yes.
And how the kids and the dads become stay-at-home dad, move to a new city. This is dad becomes success with his syrup and sauce, and so the mom has to now stay home. Mm-hmm. But the focus isn't necessarily around the kids; it's more about recent topic of like racial aggression. And like moving to like white affluent neighborhood and like different racial aggressions in there, but Zach Braff comes in and saves the day.
Okay.
There's different times where tension is built up amongst characters, and then Zach Braff comes in and kind of saves the day.
Yeah,
it's a weird white savior complex,
picking apart like where it's like, oh, he's being a good dad, and also cultural implications. Yes, is a tricky thing to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a weird movie because it wants to make a statement. It wants to like put this in its place, put it in its face. But then you have Zach Braff coming in and like, I'm coming in and now I'm gonna like put my foot down, be the good dad, and save the day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, white savior complex.
Do you write it maybe too perfect? Like maybe a little bit enough, like of a flaw to that character.
It's not necessarily a flaw, but more of I'm going to come in and just solve everything for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's just
it might not be like the right way to solve it, but it's the easy Hollywood way of solving things.
So, despite the baggage, is this maybe like a fun family film for the Disney Plus weekend this week?
It's a fine Disney Plus family film.
Yeah.
They both have different unique takes on how they get to the dozen. Which I think is kind of like a more modern version of the dozen version, rather than, oh, I just popped up 12 kids.
Yeah, I said all these.
Thank you, Bonnie Hunt. You look great for having 12 kids.
Yeah, I mean, we do live in the post TLC reality show era where, like, we've seen the 8 kids, we've seen 12 kids and counting, or whatever that show was. And so it's like we've been there. We don't need to do this in our movies.
Yeah, but that's the one thing that this movie actually does right, is that it's an amalgamation of different family styles of kids and divorce and adoption and godsons and like family and uncles and nieces, not nieces, like cousins coming into the family. It's an amalgamation of how they get to that dozen, and that I liked.
Yeah,
that's the good shining point, is that a family of the family in Cheaper by the Dozen is not your traditional, I just had 12 kids, we're all related. It's we're an amalgamation of these different kind of circumstances that are out of our control, but we're still a family. We're still a loving family. And that's the bright spot of Cheaper by the Dozen.
Okay. So it does some things well, but overall, weird Zach Braff vibes.
It's a weird, like, Zach Braff vibe here.
I feel like it's impossible for him to make something at this point and not have weird vibes.
Are you talking about, like, that commercial he's in?
Yeah. He's just such a weird guy now. Anyway,
Anyways, thank you for listening to our 2.5 hour podcast.
Yeah, sorry we went long, but I guess we had a lot to say about Kirby and the Oscars, so apologies.
Yes,
but
that's why it's titled the way it is.
Yes, we'll be back next week with Oscar aftermath, I guess you could say, as well as Grammy predictions as we go into Grammy night next week. Other than that, we'll have the same as we always do: new movies, television, and sports and video games news for you. All of those things and more. So stay tuned. If you would like to watch us in video form and live on Saturday mornings, you can do so on our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com, search Media Boat Podcast, and you can find our page. Like, subscribe, click on the bell for notifications when we go live. You can listen to us in audio form on your podcast service of your choice. For example, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you listen to Apple Podcasts, anywhere you download and listen to podcasts, you can do so there. We have new episodes happening all the time. That's also where you can find our ongoing March Madness bracket series, where we are currently determining what the best Disney animated song is. Will it be Bruno? Will it be Let It Go? Will it be classics like songs from The Little Mermaid or Beauty and the Beast? Or will it be even more classics like When You Wish Upon a Star? All of these questions will be answered in our bracket series that's ongoing. It'll continue throughout the month of March, so we will wrap up very soon.
Yep. We'll be wrapping that bracket up very shortly as soon as we get everyone together again.
Those will be available in that podcast feed that you can download our regular show in as well, so check that out. In the meantime, if you want to see us on social media, on Twitter, our handle is @MediaVoteCast. On Facebook, search Media Vote Podcast, and you can find our page there. Like and leave comments if you'd like. And if you want to leave us a comment directly, or ask us a question, or give us feedback at the show, you can email us at mediavotepodcast@gmail.com. Do so, and we might read your email on the air. So please let us know how you think. In the meantime, we'll be back next week. So stay tuned. Have a good one. Enjoy the Oscars tomorrow. And we'll have way more to talk about next week.
Yep. If there's, as I said, if there's anything that you want us to review, talk about,
ask us.
Just email us, mediabellpodcast@gmail.com, and we could read your email on the air here.
Thank you. We'll see you guys next time.
And good luck at the Oscars. All right.
For your consideration, Media Boat Podcast. Bye.
Bye. But for our consideration, the hat is on. We are done. 2.5 hours.
Woo! It's lunchtime, baby.
All right, let's go eat. Bye.
Bye. Oh, Lordy. Good thing.